pie before.
I know we have.
Where'd you see him, Paul? Well, be careful, Paul.
Oh, crap. What's going on here?
Moulton. Top of the morning to you on this Friday. Could be a football Friday, could be a madness Friday, could be a circus Friday. We'll explain. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? Miller@Moulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Thanks so much for being with us. Top of the morning to you, Mark. I sense this has been a good week. Some weeks you on Thursday, you're like, man, it feels like it's a Friday or what have you. I sense that this week has moved.
It has, except for I didn't have the right buttons pushed this morning to start the show. Someone came in here and they had a, sporting event they covered here last night, so my board was a little tricked up. So caught a little off guard this morning on a Friday morning. And I was ready, up early, ready to go. Good night's sleep, fired up.
Right. By the way, I heard something I had never heard before yesterday. Spieth. Somebody made the comment he's going for the Noah's Ark scorecard.
The Noah's Ark scorecard?
Yes, 2 of everything.
Okay.
And I laughed. I went, I don't know how I'd never heard that before, but so he didn't quite get it. He only had 1 double instead of 2. But, that's 2 eagles, 2 birdies, 2 bogeys, 2 doubles. Apparently he came up a double short. But
all right.
So Miller and Moulton on this Friday. The circus, I believe, is Stu Sternberg.
There's no doubt. There is no doubt, David. And yesterday, to most, was a terrible day for the future of Rays baseball in St. Pete.
In St. Pete, I agree. And
what happens next is really anyone's guess. But there's only one person that we talk to regularly who has knowledge of doing a baseball stadium deal in the state of Florida. And that's one David Sampson.
Right.
He did it with the Marlins. Now, I don't know how often you text, David. You have admitted you're a texter. So I don't know if you text our guests that we've become friendly with regularly. I don't. I leave them completely alone. Kirwan occasionally, Sampson pretty much never. Yesterday, I had to text David. The news came out, and the stadium deal's done, and they're moving on. And I simply just asked David Sampson, is this simply a negotiation tactic? Sternberg walking away from the deal. And he said, that's my position. He's been on our show regularly saying these things are going to get ugly. People are going to say awful things about one another. Don't take it as gospel. That's all he said for quite a while on our show.
Well, it's a negotiating tactic if you're hell-bent on not having the team in St. Pete anymore. Okay, I mean, they're done in St. Pete. It's over in St. Pete. I mean, the mayor has said, I'm not negotiating with him ever again. All right, the Pinellas County people have said, he's dead to us. All right, they said, this is it. There is no more money. This is our best offer. All right, and we had to line everything up to give you what we gave you. And we gave you a $1 billion land deal on the other side of it after we helped build you a stadium. And you walked away. They're like, we're done with you. Now you sell. And there's a new owner. Oh, no, we'll bring everything back, put it on the table and say, do you want the deal that he didn't want? We can do that. But, Mark, my guess is they're going to have to do something with that land before, the new ownership takes over. And if you're a new owner, are you really thinking St. Pete? Aren't you thinking Tampa? So I think the Rays are done in St. Pete. That's what yesterday, to me, said. Here's the kicker, though, Mark. You need permission to move a Major League Baseball franchise.
Correct.
He ain't going to get it.
No, he's not. Nor are the owner, and I do agree with what David Sampson said earlier this week, nor are the owners going to force him to sell because he's being a jerk. This isn't Donald Sterling. This isn't Schott. This isn't an incident of which you have to force someone to sell because they've done something so horribly wrong with their life. This is a guy who either is the hardest negotiator in the world or he just is a train wreck of an owner. But they're not going to have 24 owners or 23 owners, rather, vote for him to sell the team.
But he's never going to get approval to move the team anywhere. Charlotte, Montreal, Nashville, Portland, San Antonio. He's not going to get it. Rob Manfred has said, we want baseball in the Tampa Bay region. He reiterated it yesterday. The Rays are not relocating. I believe what yesterday did was yesterday ensured the Rays are leaving St. Pete. The Rays are going to end up in Tampa. The odds are likely with a different owner. Because, Mark, and we've been paying attention to this for a while, and while we don't know the ins and outs as well as the people who cover the Rays and who live in the Tampa-St. Pete region, who the hell in the Tampa-St. Pete region is going to negotiate with Stu Sternberg? If you're the mayor of Tampa, if you're Hillsborough County, You going to negotiate with this guy? Remember, he had a deal 6-7 years ago in Ybor City that he walked away from.
Yep.
They've already gone down this road with him. Now St. Pete gave him everything you could possibly give him. I don't know if the mayor of St. Pete is right, but he said, I really think we gave him the best deal any owner of any pro sports team has ever been given. And he walked away from it. Now, I don't know if that's true, but he said, we're paying for half the stadium and we're giving you the land around it that you could probably make $1 billion off of. That does seem like a hell of a deal.
It does. It absolutely does. There's no doubt that the deal for Sternberg and St. Pete was tremendous because of the land.
Right.
Not so much about the future of the Rays in St. Pete and how many fans they would have drawn and whether or not they would have ever, or if they're ever successful playing baseball in St. Pete, because I don't know if they ever will be. New stadium or not.
So he said, by the way, he made the announcement this early, even though they had until the end of the month, because he wanted it out of the way before opening day. Didn't want it to interfere with opening day in any way. Whatever. I don't know if I believe a single thing that comes out of Stu Sternberg's mouth anymore. And it's not like he's a bad owner. I mean, the Rays have won the third or fourth most games in baseball over the last 16, 17 years. You know, do we all think he could spend a little more money on the team? Of course we do. But it's not like it's a poorly run organization. It's not like they hire bad people.
No, we've joked for years. When the Rays call you to make a trade, you hang up the phone.
Right.
They're better at it than you are.
Remember, the Dodgers hired all their people from the Rays.
And now they have all that talent in L.A. and money to go along with it, and look what they've done.
Right. The Dodgers are the Rays with an unlimited payroll. And to me, when the president of the team goes on WDAE and says the team is not for sale, to me, I take that as the team's not for sale until the team's for sale.
Everything's for sale, Dave.
Right. The team's not for sale today. You know, don't you think you could translate that as the people who want the team aren't offering us enough money? Once they offer us enough money, the team's for sale. Reportedly, Stu wants $2 billion, which I don't blame him for asking for. If that's the going rate for an expansion franchise, I don't blame Sternberg for asking for $2 billion. Now, the problem is supposedly the Rays have been valued at like 1.35. So you got to get somebody to really overpay here.
But all it takes is one. Look back at the Clippers. They weren't worth what they paid for them.
No.
The Suns weren't worth what Ishbia paid for them. But if someone out there wants a franchise, typically they will overpay for it.
Now, one of the problems, though, is that this isn't just buying a franchise. You're now going to have to build a stadium along with buying a franchise. So that's why to give him the extra $600 million that he wants, you're thinking to yourself, yeah, that's money I could contribute to a stadium. I might want to spend $2 billion total. You know, $1.4 billion to buy the team and $600 million on the table, and then let the city of Tampa and Hillsborough County figure out the rest. But I'll be damned, he walked away from it. I'll be damned. I actually thought he was going to sign the deal because I thought, Mark, that way he could have his cake and eat it too. He'd get the land and then he could sell the team and he could double dip. He could make his $1 billion and change on selling the team, and then he could make his $1 billion on the land.
So the Rays are in flux. What will happen? Will Sternberg sell the team? Where will they play? But as David said, baseball's not going to let them relocate.
No way.
Not with $4 billion at stake in 2 expansion teams. Just not going to happen.
Nope. Rob Manfred is on record. Said it again yesterday. We are committed to the Tampa Bay region. I don't know if technically Orlando's part of it, but they're making it work in Florida because they've already got expansion figured out. Hell, Nashville released a logo this week. Not that they think they're going to get a team or anything. Miller and Moulton. The starting 5 is 25 minutes away. Pat Kirwan will join us 8 a.m. Eastern today on Miller and Moulton.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Why aren't you working, Trent? I think we had John Feinstein on. I'm pretty sure we did. We had John Feinstein on, didn't we?
Did we?
Thought we did. Have to ask Cassio almost.
I had some experiences with him. I know that because I did 2 shows with him on Sirius back in the day. And I was doing a show on Mad Dog when Frank DeFord died, and we got Feinstein on like an hour or so after his death. And that was a really good interview.
All right. Best chip brand of all time. Lay's, Ruffles, Pringles. Do we go Cape Cod, Kettle Brand, Utz, Miss Vicky's?
Huh. We're going to put Pringles on the list?
It's the third most popular brand in the market.
Doesn't mean it's good. I mean, McDonald's is the #1 fast food joint.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. Thanks so much for being with us. So, today's one of those days, isn't it?
One of those days?
Yeah, one of those days. Like today's National Whatever Day. Some days, like yesterday, gave us nothing. Nothing that we could do a poll question with. Today, we've got a couple, right?
We have a couple. It's National Pie Day, 3/14.
But we've done that, haven't we?
We've done that.
Okay.
It's also National Potato Chip Day.
Now we're talking. Do you want to do flavor or do you want to do brand?
I'd rather do brand, but I can do flavor. It's whatever you want to do. I'm going to let it roll on Friday. Very easy for me.
Well, what would you do for brand?
Lay's,
Okay.
Ruffles, Pringles, and then you could go with like a Cape Cod, a Kettle. Those are both very popular brands of potato chips.
Do they still make Wise? Because that was the chip that I grew up on. My grandparents, my mom's parents, who I spent a lot of time with, they were Wise potato chip people. My mom, we didn't have potato chips and Doritos and pretzels in our house, and I'm not over exaggerating here. That was a luxury that we couldn't afford. When there was a bag of potato chips or Doritos or pretzels that showed up in the house, I knew my mom was having company over in a couple days. And I would just hope that they didn't eat all the snacks. So I had to go over to my grandmother's house to get potato chips. And they were big into Wise potato chips.
Wise potato chips still exist.
Okay. So for flavors, what would you do? Regular, sour cream and onion, barbecue?
Salt and vinegar. I hate salt and vinegar, but people love salt and vinegar chips.
Okay.
And then I'm going to deal with text all day going, well, you didn't put this one on. What about in Canada? We have ketchup chips. So, whatever.
So I would go flavor. You would go brand. All right. Tell you what, we'll take some text at 21,000, some comments in the Twitch chat room. We'll see which one we think is more popular. Do you want us to go brand of chips or flavor of chips? And go from there. So in a way, we've narrowed it down for you. We'll let you decide. So there, we'll go potato chip. I would think we'd get a lot of votes today. I mean, we're going potato chip, for goodness sake. How could this not be a popular poll question?
I'm with you.
I mean, if we don't get a lot of votes, then we're just not a popular show, I think.
Well, there's that too.
Well,
But
there is that.
here's the thing. I get that Pringles are potato crisps. They are widely regarded, thought of as chips in the industry. And for someone to text me already, this is where when you open up the text lines for this type of stuff, this is what I get. First text, Pringles aren't real chips. Swap them with Doritos and you'll have my vote. When in the hell have Doritos been a goddamn potato chip? Come on now.
Wow, you went GD in the first half hour of the show. Wow.
Come on.
Wow. You're like the
Hey,
mayor.
we're voting for best hamburgers. I'm going to go with a taco. Hey, what's your favorite pizza? Stromboli. I mean, come on.
I'll tell you what, you know who was like one more moment in a press conference away yesterday from where you are right now? The mayor of St. Pete. He kept it together, but man, he was beginning to leak oil at the end. Okay, you could tell he just wanted to eviscerate him. But he held it together. Damn, almost had him. But so we'll let you decide, all right, whether we're going brand of chip or flavor of chip. All right. So far, early in the Twitch chat room, they're saying brand. Okay, we'll give you another segment or so. All right, and then we can go down that road. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Did we ever have John Feinstein on the show?
I thought we did, and I'm going to have to send a text to our old producer. I thought we did in Act 1, but David, we had so many authors on over the years, and I think so, but I'm not positive.
I mean, the only person who I think wrote more books than John Feinstein was Pat Williams. I guess Feinstein credited with 48 books. Basically, half of his books made the bestseller list. And everyone has their favorite. He'll always be known for Season on the Brink. Bobby Knight, what was it, 85, 86? That season, which he was embedded with him and then wrote the book. And Bobby Knight disagreed with how he was portrayed.
Shocking.
Yes. What I thought was interesting, though, was that Coach K, very close with Bobby Knight, he and John Feinstein were great friends, and he thought the book was accurate. But John Feinstein, considered young by our standards these days, passed away, natural causes, unexpectedly yesterday, was visiting his brother, and brother came home, and his brother was dead. John Feinstein, 69 years old, had a wife and 3 kids, and quite a career. I'll say this, there was no middle ground with John Feinstein. Like, I worked with him a few times, and there were times, Mark, that he was charming, incredible. And you're like, wow, for a person of his stature. All right. Yeah. And there were times in which he was a pain in the butt. And a few people, even yesterday, who were good friends with him said, oh, yeah, that was John. There was nothing soft about John. There was no middle ground with John. John was strong either way. And John had no problem disagreeing with you either. I have to admit, I mean, you got the sense at times that you were right. Like, I always ran into him in Army Navy because he was part of the Navy radio broadcast team. So he was always at the game. And he was always in a great mood because it was his favorite game of the year. And so he was holding court, before the game. And we're all at the game 4 hours early for security and then also to see the march on and what have you. So you could have a really long, pleasant conversation with John Feinstein in Army Navy. But man, if John disagreed with you, I mean, he didn't go, oh, shucks, I don't know. I see things differently.
Did you have any disagreements with him in your times together?
The very first show that I did with him, and, he's John Feinstein, and I'm me. And I'm sure he's thinking, who the hell am I doing this show with? And I don't know if we got to the first break before he basically said, oh, no, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. And we were talking college sports of some kind, because I'm pretty sure we're on the college channel. And it took me the whole rest of the show to get credibility back with him. I mean, you could just tell, Mark. I mean, you're talking to somebody, and even over the radio, it was 7-8 years ago. I couldn't see his face, but I just knew. I just knew he was sitting in, his den, all right, doing the show, thinking to himself, what the hell? Don't ever pair me with this Moulton guy again. Give me a break. I'm John Feinstein, for goodness sakes. He's a moron. And that's not true at all. I mean, he's well, maybe it was true.
It may have had accuracy in the moment.
Yep.
I don't think it's true on the whole, but sometimes you can come off the top rope early.
And I did, thinking I was going to make a good point and gain his credibility and respect. And instead he was like, for goodness sakes, who's the PD of this channel? I got to call him and say, you assign me this guy again, and I'm done. And you'll be done too.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
This is Miller and Moulton.
DC was Civil War, the Army-Navy book that he wrote. He did a book recently on the Patriot League. Yeah, awful loss for the Pistons last night. My goodness.
Terrible.
Had a fourth quarter lead, too.
Anybody get up at 3 a.m. to see the blood moon and the eclipse and all that was going on, the lunar eclipse?
Oh my goodness. If I had known, I actually woke up at 2:59. Went back to sleep at 3:30. Huh. All right, let us know, folks. Flavor or brand? We can go with both. Not to be referred to
DC,
by who?
I understand. I understand. I'm just going to read you. Pringles stands out with its, while technically a potato crisp due to its processed potato content, it's widely considered a potato chip in popular culture, which is what I said last segment, but no one listens. They are the third most popular brand in the market. Is it 10 yet?
I'm sorry, what?
Is it 10 a.m. yet?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. An hour and 22 minutes away from Pat Kirwan joining us on Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Let us know, do you want us to go favorite brand of potato chip on National Potato Chip Day, or do you want us to go flavor of chip on National Potato Chip Day? Brand or flavor, let us know, 21,000 or the Twitch chat room. And then top of the hour, Mark will be posting the question you want to be our poll question of the day.
The starting five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the starting five.
And we'll start with Major League Baseball because Rays owner Stu Sternberg backed out of the deal with the city of St. Petersburg and Pinellas County to build a $1.3 billion, 30,000-seat baseball stadium. Mayor of St. Pete said they're done with Stu, but would gladly work out a deal with a new owner. Rays president Matt Silverman went on WDAE in Tampa and said the team is not for sale. Rays lease with St. Pete and the Trop runs through 2028. They have 3 more years after this one. They'll play this year at Steinbrenner Field, seating capacity 11,000. And then they've got 3 more years at the Trop. And the city of St. Petersburg reiterated yesterday, they are repairing the Trop. You know, we have to. It's our obligation. We're repairing it. And the Rays will be able to play there in 26, 27, and 28. One thing to keep in mind, Sternberg needs permission from Major League Baseball to move the team. And baseball, through Rob Manfred, has made a lot of public comments in the last 6 months. And Rob Manfred wants there to be a Major League Baseball team in the Tampa Bay region. And that's just how he's phrased it, too. The Tampa Bay region. Now, does Orlando count? Not to us, it doesn't. All right? It's like calling Southwest Florida the Gulf Coast. But maybe to Major League Baseball, it does. Boston. I'm sorry, what?
Well played.
Thank you. Boston starter Lucas Giolito, he's going to start the season on the injured list. That's the second starting pitcher for the Red Sox that's not ready for opening day. I will say the Red Sox, I thought, had 6 starters. So they could probably, the early part of the season, be okay with what they have. But Giolito nursing a hamstring injury. Mets second baseman Jeff McNeil shut down with an oblique strain. So they've got 2 starting pitchers, their starting catcher, and their starting second baseman that ain't going to be ready for a while. Remember, this is not a juggernaut. They won 89 games last year. They went on a nice playoff run, but they won 89 games. People are going a little too hog wild on the Mets. Although Juan Soto's pretty good. NFL. There's a new backup quarterback in Kansas City. Don't you find that interesting? Did Carson Wentz not want to come back? Is Wentz holding out for something better elsewhere?
Wentz thinks he can play in the league, wants an opportunity to play, so we'll see.
Gardner Minshew, 28-year-old stash, is going to be the backup to Mahomes in 2025. The Vikings have announced that they're going to cut their starting center, Garrett Bradbury. He's been their starting center since they drafted him, first round 6 years ago? Started every game he's ever played. He's 29 years old, but the Vikings, Mark, made the same determination as the Bears. They determined that at center and guard, they weren't good enough. They got pushed around. I think the playoff game against the Rams, the Vikings are like, yeah, we're just not good enough up front if we want to do what we want to do. Because if you look at what the Vikings have done this offseason, outside of re-signing their own cornerback, they've invested in the line of scrimmage. Patriots are cutting center and captain David Andrews. We're not sure if he's going to retire or not. He's been battling injuries the last couple of years. A couple of franchises signing running backs. The Dolphins do so with Alexander Madison. What's fascinating to me about that is that the Vikings were an awful short yardage running team, and Madison was their short yardage running back. And yet the Dolphins are signing him to be their power short yardage running back. Vegas, meanwhile, signing former Dolphin Raheem Mostert. And the Steelers signed a quarterback.
They sure did. Wait for it. Here it comes. Who did they sign, David?
Mason Rudolph is back in the fold. He signed a 2-year deal. He did 1 year in Nashville and said, man, let me run back to Pittsburgh. College hoops. Okay, you decide. Are they in or not? Texas wins their second straight game over an SEC team that's going to make the tournament. They went double overtime to beat 14th ranked A&M 94-89. Texas is 19-14. Meanwhile, Indiana lost to nationally ranked Oregon 72-59. Hoosiers are 19-13. Are they in? or are they out? Did you hear what the Indiana player, by the way, said sitting on his stool after the game yesterday? Oh, yeah. He said, we love playing for IU. I mean, it's one of those special programs. But, man, every time we lose a game, we go on social media, and it's ridiculous. He goes, you really lose your love for being a Hoosier. Huh. Curious if the fan base will go, huh? Or if the fan base will go, well, if you didn't lose so damn much.
Well, I'm sure at, like Kentucky and some of these other places, they're a lot better on their team after losses on social media. North Carolina. They probably just send flowers.
Xavier had a double-digit lead at the half. If they won this game, I think they'd definitely be in the tournament. But they blew the double-digit lead and lost late to nationally ranked Marquette yesterday, 89-87. The Musketeers are 21-11, sitting firmly on the bubble. Arkansas lost on a three-pointer at the buzzer to Ole Miss, 83-80. Arkansas is 20-13. Are they in? I think they are. North Carolina, Mark, beat Wake Forest. Boy, did Wake Forest collapse down the stretch this year. North Carolina with a win, but the Wake Forest win's not a quad one win. And now, Mark, they're going to face Duke in the semis of the ACC, but they're going to face them without Cooper Flagg.
And the other player got hurt. Duke lost two starters yesterday, Cooper Flagg, his name escapes me, but they lost two starters in the game to injury.
So if they beat Duke and lose to either Clemson or Louisville in the ACC final, is Carolina in? I mean, it's a quad one win, but isn't it a quad one win with an asterisk?
Well, Lenardi has North Carolina in now for what it's worth. He's been pretty accurate.
He has.
We'll have Shelby on at 9 and ask him what he thinks about North Carolina. He right now has them in the first four out.
FAU, they'll play Tulane next in the AAC conference tournament. They beat Charlotte by 5. South Florida season came to an end. What a just nightmare season this was. The coach tragically dies right before Abdul Rahim, right before the season starts, and they go 13-19, coming off last year's regular season title. Wichita State beat them 73-68. Okay, Mountain West, Boise State with a win over San Diego State. Does that get the Broncos in? 62-52. They advanced to the Mountain West semis. SMU needed to make a run in the ACC tournament. They lost to Clemson. Oklahoma lost at the buzzer to Kentucky, 85-84. Is OU in or not? Nova needed to make a run in the Big East. UConn eliminated them by 17. You wonder if Kyle Neptune's going to get fired. Stanford, Louisville tied till the Cardinal hit a shot at the buzzer to win, 75-73. DePaul was up 15 at the half. They were up 3 late in regulation and allowed Creighton to get off a 3. They hit it, and Creighton beat them in double overtime. Is Baylor in, Mark? They lost to 9th-ranked Texas Tech, 76-74. They're 19-14. Colorado State beat Steve Alford in Nevada, 67-59. They've got 23 wins. Is that enough? They are on the bubble. NBA, 5 games last night. Orlando, led by 30 at the half, beat the Pelicans by 20 in New Orleans. The Magic are the 8th seed right now. The Heat are the 9th. What a bad loss for the Pistons, just when we were getting excited about them. They blow a fourth quarter lead at home to the Washington Wizards.
Yeah, you can't get that one back if you want to be the 4 seed. That might just be what the difference is between them as a 6 and a 4, David.
Washington by 4, 129-125. Bucks snap a 3-game losing skid, beat the Lakers by 20, even though Luka had 45. Bulls beat the Nets 116-110. Chicago with a 5.5 game lead for the 10 seed, but now they're only a game and a half by Miami for the 9 seed. And Golden State's won 6 in a row. Haven't they lost like only twice since they acquired Jimmy Butler?
Been playing great basketball, and Steph getting 4,000 3-pointers last night after hitting a couple. He was 2 away to start the game.
Warriors beat Sacramento by 26. NHL, Washington didn't score, so we don't have to worry about if Ovechkin did. LA beat him 3-0. Panthers got 2 power play goals from Sam Bennett. They beat the Leafs in regulation 3-2. They're 4 points ahead of Toronto now for first in the division. Lightning have kind of leveled off here in the last week or so. They lost in Philly in a shootout 4-3.
That's a bad loss, too. It really is. You lose to the Philadelphia Flyers. They got a point, but it's a bad loss.
They're only 4 points ahead of Ottawa to fall into the wild card position. Ottawa with a 5-point lead, by the way, in the wild card race. They beat Boston 6-3. Vegas shut out Columbus 4-0. You combine that with the Rangers winning in overtime in Minnesota 3-2. Rangers are tied with the Blue Jackets for the final playoff spot. Columbus has a game in hand. Montreal a point back. The TPC, the Players' Championship. Lucas Glover, J.J. Spawn, and Camilo Villegas?
Yeah, he had it going on yesterday.
He's like ranked 264th in the world these days. He doesn't even have status in every tournament. Shot a 666, career best round there. Good for him. By the way, he could shoot 82 today. He really could. But anyway, they're tied for the lead. 1 shot ahead of 5 golfers at 5 under. 2 of the 5 are Billy Horschel and Rory. Ricky Fowler's a group of 11 golfers, 2 back. Scheffler and Cantlay are another group of 11, 3 back. And Spieth and Morikawa are both 2 under, 4 shots back. Spieth was 3 under through 2 yesterday. He had a crazy scorecard. He had a Jordan Spieth scorecard. And finally, John Feinstein, author of 48 books, 23 of them bestsellers. Died of natural causes, visiting his brother's house in Virginia. He was 69. A few hours before he died, he submitted his last story, which was about Tom Izzo. So it's one of those awkward instances in which the paper is reporting about somebody's death, and his byline is just to the right, having submitted his last story.
Not like they're not going to print it.
Nope. Sure not. It's like Sid Hartman in Minneapolis when he died at 100. He died on a Friday afternoon. Friday morning, he submitted his Sunday column. So Sid was dead, and they ran the column 2 days later anyway.
You're damn right they did.
And at 8 minutes before the hour, that was your starting 5. 5 big stories in John Feinstein that you needed to know here on Miller and Moulton.
We will talk more about the Rays Stadium deal coming up in our 8 o'clock hour as Evan Closky joins us from WTSP Channel 10 in Tampa. Pat Kirwan, top of the 8 o'clock hour. Shelby Mast to talk brackets at 9 o'clock. David and I wondering how much of the field's already set.
Right. With who's been eliminated. I mean, we just went through so many bubble teams that lost. I mean, with 3 days left till Selection Sunday, how many bids are truly up for grabs here? Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Thanks for joining us on this Friday.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor, a neighborly company.
Do you have a sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. A few of my friends are taking daily Cialis or Viagra. What are the benefits and how much does it cost?
Great question. Cialis, tadalafil, and Viagra, sildenafil are game changer for men who want better performance, stamina, and confidence. They improve blood flow, support long-lasting performance, and help you feel like yourself again. And the best part, at Revitalize Clinic, we make it affordable. Less than $1 per pill. No overpriced prescription, no hassle, just real results, American-made, at the best prices in town. Plus, with early hours starting at 5:30 in the morning, we fit your schedule.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. That's 239-980-2302. Get results. Get confidence. Revitalize Clinic, because every man deserves to perform at his best without breaking the bank. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Isn't Colorado State also on the bubble?
They are. He's got him in right now. Shelby's got him in.
Does he have Boise in?
No. Last four in for Shelby are Baylor, Indiana, Xavier, Colorado State. First four out are Texas, Boise, UNC, and UC Irvine. And then next four out are Ohio State, Nebraska, Wake, and San Francisco.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour number 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Friday. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. So what have you decided? You going to go with brands or flavors of potato chips?
Yes.
Are we going with 2 questions?
Yes.
For the second time in a week?
Yes, sir.
Oh, my goodness. And we don't even have a sponsor for the question. And we went with 2 poll questions on 2 different shows this week.
Well, I wanted one question. You wanted the other. There's no way to decide it. We don't have a producer anymore to split ties, so I just did both.
Okay. It's National Potato Chip Day. We have 2 potato chip poll questions. I'm curious, by the way, what brands did you end up going with?
I went Lay's, Ruffles, Pringles, Cape Cod. I like the Cape Cod kettle chip. That was a personal choice for me.
Well, there you go. And you'll take the texts that you know are coming about people telling us that Pringles are not a potato chip. It's a potato
They're
chip.
not, but they are in popular culture. They're in the potato chip aisle, first of all.
Yes,
Let's
they
just
are.
get that straight. They're right next to the damn Frito-Lays and the Ruffles. They're all right there. That's the first thing.
It's right there.
It's all right there. The 77. Sorry. Going back to NASCAR math from a few years ago.
It's Jeff Gordon. I tell you, Jim, it's Jeff Gordon.
Thank you, Jay Severson. Hope you're listening.
Man.
And then for flavors, I looked up what the most popular flavors went with the first 4 that it came down the list.
Okay.
Plain,
Right.
sour cream and onion,
Of course.
barbecue,
Yeah.
salt and vinegar.
Okay. I see.
Cheddar and sour cream did not make the list. That's
Yeah.
number 5.
No. I mean, sour cream's in there, though. So I like it. I like it.
So
I
those
think
are the questions. Yesterday, I did something I never do. Not only, I said this earlier in the show, I sent a text to David Sampson, which I don't bother people that are on our show, but with the whole raise thing, I thought I had a pertinent question for Mr. Sampson, and he answered quickly. But I also started firing off poll questions at one David Moulton at around 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning.
I know. And I'm like, what is going on here? And I'm like, did I forget something? Did we make a commitment? Okay, am I supposed to be doing this too? What is he doing? I'm not kidding. Okay. You've heard Mark say when his wife calls him, all right, during the show or right after the show or whatever, he thinks there's been an accident.
The worst. I
Right.
immediately think the worst. It's a horrible part of me. It's a me problem. But when I get calls out of the ordinary, I initially go to, oh crap, what happened?
And I'm getting a series of texts, and I'm like, what's going on? And I look, and they're all from the same person. And that person's Mark Miller? What's going on? So,
And they were poll question ideas.
I know. Football, too.
Well, I've been on a pretty major shape up. I've been working very hard to get myself back in some semblance of shape. And yesterday, while on the treadmill, poll questions started hitting me. And I didn't want to forget them. So I started firing them to you. That way I can just go to the text thing and just look up and say, hey, when we're sitting here on Tuesday going, what are we going to do for a poll question? I'm like, wait a minute here. I've got a couple in the can.
For the record, I voted barbecue and then Ruffles. Close. I almost went with Lay's. But at the end, I kind of like the Ridges. Not going to lie.
I was between Lay's and Cape Cod. The Cape Cod holds the dip better. Those kettle chips really hold a dip fine. They do a great job, a fine job of holding a dip. So I went with Cape Cod. I have not yet voted in the
flavor.
I will probably go plain.
I understand. Wouldn't surprise me if plain wins. I mean, last time we did chocolate versus vanilla ice cream, didn't vanilla win?
Damn right it did.
Yeah, shocked the you-know-what out of me.
The better ice cream.
Okay. I'm pretty sure at one point, I think it was off air, we actually talked for about 38 seconds as to today's show after yesterday's show. And you said, I want to do bracketology. Don't go Shelby, go somebody else. And I said, I want to go Shelby because I want to play the in or out game. And Shelby will answer everything quickly. I mean, think about this. These are all bubble teams, right? I'm going to name them. Baylor, Indiana, Xavier, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, North Carolina, Boise State, Colorado State, right?
Correct.
These are all bubble teams.
They are.
Okay. I mean, I guess you could throw Wake Forest on that list, but with Wake losing to North Carolina yesterday, I don't think they have a snowball's chance, and you know what. Well, Mark,
I think they're out. I'm with you, David.
If you count Wake, there's 10 bubble teams that played yesterday. 6 of them lost. Texas, North Carolina, Boise, and Colorado State won. Now, Texas, the best win. They beat 14th ranked A&M on a neutral floor in double overtime. Colorado State beat Nevada. Solid team, not a tournament team. Boise, a really good win, beat San Diego State. That's a tournament team. And Carolina beat Wake. Not a tournament team. Not considered, I don't believe, a quad one win. So because those teams won and the teams on the other column lost, you know, I mean, think about Baylor played the 9th-ranked team in the country yesterday, lost by 2.
For instance, with Baylor, David, Shelby has them as one of his last 4 in. Joe Lunardi has them as a 9 seed.
Okay.
He has them way in. They're not even
right
considered part of his last 4 in or last 4 buys is how he kind of looks at the last 4 buys, the last 4 in. First 4, next 4 out.
We could play this Shelby Lunardi game, by the way.
Well, I've got it here ready to do. I've got both of them in front of me.
Indiana
is last 4 in for Shelby. It is the first team out for Lunardi.
Xavier,
last 4 in Shelby, last 4 in Lunardi.
Okay. And Xavier lost to Marquette, nationally ranked Marquette, by 2 in the Big East quarters yesterday. Blew a double-digit halftime lead. Arkansas, I think we all think by now they're in, right?
Yeah. Arkansas, Lunardi has them as one of the last 4 buys, so he clearly has them in. And I believe Shelby has them in as well. Sometimes Shelby's website likes to mess with me. Arkansas is in on both. And comfortably in on both.
Okay. Oklahoma. And the Sooners lost at the buzzer by 1 to Kentucky yesterday.
They're on the 10 line for both Lunardi and Shelby Mast.
So Arkansas, Oklahoma in. They're not bubble teams to Lunardi and Shelby. Okay. How about these 4 who won yesterday, who are still playing? Texas.
Texas is out in Shelby's, listed as the first team out in the first four, and he does it in order. They are the last team in on Lenardi's.
Boy, I'm wondering if you can flip that with North Carolina.
Well, Lenardi has North Carolina in as well.
So
And
he has
Shelby
both.
has them out.
So Shelby has both Texas and North Carolina out.
And Lenardi has them both in.
Okay. Now the two Mountain West teams, who are both in the semis of the Mountain West tournament, by the way, but they're not playing each other. Boise State, Colorado State.
Both in the first four out on Lenardi's. Teams 3 and 4. Indiana and Ohio State are ahead of them for what it's worth on Lenardi's. Colorado State is the last team in on Shelby's bracket. Boise is the second team out. So Boise out on both, Colorado State in with Shelby, out with Lenardi.
And the Mountain West semis, for those that are interested, it's Boise and New Mexico. New Mexico was the regular season champion. And it's Colorado State against Utah State. Utah
State's in.
Oh, yeah. They won 26 games.
They're a 9 seed with Shelby. They are a 10 seed with Lenardi. One of the last 4 buys, according to Joe Lenardi.
So one would think those are play-in games out in the Mountain West semis. I mean, if you're beating two teams that are in the tournament to get to the finals of your conference tournament, that would seem to me to be a play-in game.
Absolutely.
Like if you're, North Carolina's got their own game, obviously, with Duke. Texas is still alive in the SEC tournament. But Xavier's out. Indiana's out of their respective conference tournaments. I mean, you got to be rooting for the two favorites tonight in the Mountain West if you're an IU or a Musketeer fan.
Go Colorado State. Go Boise State.
That's your wife's alma mater, right?
It is, but I like the Mountain West, a good basketball conference. They play good hoop. I don't need Texas in at the expense of Boise or Colorado State. I don't.
The one thing I will say, though, outside of San Diego State, the Mountain West has disappointed in the tournament recently. And we have advocated the last 2-3 years for them to get their 4 bids and their 5 bids. But outside of the Aztecs, they have not been winning in the tournament. The committee's actually treated them really well, and they've made the committee look bad, to be honest.
Yeah, they've been getting a lot of those 8, 9, 7, 10 games against power conference teams that have been unable to get victories. No doubt. No doubt. But there's a little who's in, who's out, who's on the bubble between Lenardi and Shelby Mast. Shelby will join us at 9 o'clock. We'll go a little more in depth with Shelby then.
And I'm telling you, it's fascinating. Does North Carolina get full credit if they beat Duke, even though Duke's going to be missing Cooper Flagg? Miller and Moulton would like to thank the sponsors that, quite frankly, saved the show in 2024. Whether it was Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Molly Maid, Cigar Bar, Sleep Treatment Direct, the Diamond District, and even the Cape Coral Police Department, thank you. We're hopeful of a great 2025, still needing sponsors, so reach out to Miller and Moulton via X at that Mark Miller or the David Moulton, or text us at 21,000. But Miller and Moulton says thank you to our sponsors and to you, our loyal listeners.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Do you have a sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
No word on how long Flag's out for. Even Shire said after the game he doesn't expect him to play today, but and I agree with what Lucifer said there. A little different for an 18-year-old rolling his ankle than a 28-year-old.
Yeah, they can't play him in the ACC tournament, though.
No, but
and they can play him in the NCAA tournament, but they can't play him the rest of the ACC tournament.
no.
Johnny Mac, Lee Trevino with a microphone is amazing. The networks have run at Lee multiple times wanting him to be in the booth, and he doesn't want to do the travel.
Doesn't want to travel.
He does not want to leave
It's a
home.
grind to do golf. I mean, it is. It's a lot of weeks, a lot of days, a lot of hours.
The networks have practically begged Lee.
I was too young, but Lee played. The club I belonged to there was the Saginaw Country Club. That was the money club. And then there was Maple Hill. That was the teachers and working men's club. That's where my dad belonged. And I worked in the pro shop. They allowed members' kids to work there. And we had our pro lost his son or daughter as an infant. And he had a tournament every year to raise money for the neonatal care. And they would bring in 3 pros. It was always the Monday after the Buick. And one year they got Lee.
Ooh.
And it was like, who did they get? Frank Connor was a regular they would get.
Okay.
And Lon Hinkle.
There you go.
Decent players.
Right,
but,
sure.
But I know me. But they got Trevino one year. And that was a pretty big deal.
Sure.
And Trevino was an hour late to the dinner because he was in the men's locker room telling stories, drinking beer. And they couldn't get him out of the locker room. My dad said it was awesome.
Awesome. It was.
And I happened to caddy that day because I didn't get one of the big boy bags. But a local guy had just finished, had made the cut at the Buick, was leading after 2 days. And then I think shot even, but still got a pretty good check for a local club pro. And I got his bag on Monday. And I got a nice hundo that day from him, which was pretty good.
There you go.
You're talking
right.
Early 80s.
Right. You're 13, 14 years old, right?
Yeah, right. Who ended up being the pro at Oakland Hills. And when they had the rider there, Steve Brady was his name, or is his name. He ended up getting a lot of TV time at one of the riders because he was the local tour pro, and they put him back then. They would actually put those people on TV. Rumor has it Cooper Kupp wants a lot of money, Feeney.
Well, it's his last chance to get it. He's 32.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Pat Kirwan in 40 minutes time. Thanks so much for being with us. 2 poll questions on National Potato Chip Day. A, your favorite brand of chip. You know, Lay's, Ruffles. We do include Pringles, even though they're a potato crisp. Just, you know, send your nasty emails to 21,000 and comment in the Twitch chat room. Sorry, we count them. All right, technicality. We're the judges. We're the judge and jury. We get to decide. And then the flavor: plain, sour cream and onion, barbecue, and salt and vinegar. So 2 different poll questions. Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X and vote. Hey, I want you to pretend that we're an NFL team and we need a quarterback. And we've debated every possibility except the one that I'm going to bring up. What about Carson Wentz?
To back up who?
Not necessarily. I mean,
you want Carson Wentz as your starting quarterback?
Well,
in the National Football League, or is this a UFL job you're talking about?
Well played, young man. So he's 32 and he won't turn 33 until like after Christmas. So he's 32 years old. He hasn't played really the last 2 years. He's thrown like 40 passes. He's thrown for less than 300 yards. He's backed up Mahomes and Stafford the last 2 years. So he's 32 years old. He has spent the last 2 years with Sean McVay and Andy Reid. And he's backed up Stafford and Mahomes. And remember, how differently would we think about Carson Wentz if Irsay, the Colts owner, hadn't freaked out 4 years ago? Colts lost their last 2 games. He blamed Wentz. Wentz had a 4-to-1 TD to interception ratio. 27 TDs to 7 interceptions. And the very next year, we saw it was all Carson Wentz's fault because the organization imploded. Everybody got fired. Hell, they brought in Steph Saturday to be the coach. Colts went 9-8 4 years ago. And what really honked Irsay off was Wentz didn't get the COVID shot or didn't wear a mask or whatever. And Irsay lost his mind and he cut him after the season. Now, he went to Washington, all right, when they were on the downswing, and he didn't look good. They didn't look good. And he hasn't been a starter since. But he's 32. I mean,
here's my apprehension, David, and
okay.
I could be way off base with this. You painted a lovely picture of where he backed up for Sean McVay and Andy Reid.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't those guys want him if he were all that? Or is it just that they couldn't keep him?
We don't know. I mean, the Rams ended up having what, Garoppolo?
Yes.
As the backup last year, and I believe they re-signed him again this year
as
the backup. And I would like to know, why Wentz is leaving Kansas City, but you do know Carson Wentz's career right now is mirroring Geno Smith. I mean, Geno settled in as Russell Wilson's backup for 2-3 years in Seattle when he was 29, 30, 31, heading into 32. And then the divorce happened, and all of a sudden, Geno Smith's 32, 33, and he hadn't been a starter in a while. and his success was mixed at best when he was a starter. And then now look at the Geno Smith we've got in the last 3 years. I'm just wondering, is Wentz shot? Like, obviously this team wouldn't consider him because of 4 years ago. But seriously, if you had your choice, Daniel Jones or Carson Wentz, who would you choose?
Daniel Jones.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. I find that interesting.
I would. I could put it up as a poll question. I'm feeling frisky today, David. We could end up with, a Levitard show and have 47 poll questions.
And people are saying, I mean, Wentz only played one game last year when he played with a bunch of guys who
the backups against Denver.
Right. When Denver was playing to make the playoffs and he was out there with the inferior team and they got their butts kicked. You're going to hold that against Wentz?
There is a rumor of where Wentz could head next, and that's Tennessee. He would get an opportunity there to fight for a starting job.
And early reports in the week was that Mac Jones was going to go there, and Mac Jones ended up going to San Francisco. So right now they don't have. Now I will say there's a lot of talk now that Tennessee's going to take Cam Ward. That Cam Ward's definitely going first overall. It's just a matter of, are the Giants going to trade up and take him, or is Tennessee going to take him? Now, let me ask you, if you're drafting Cam Ward, are you signing Carson Wentz?
No, I'm not. Because I've got Levis there. I don't want three. I'm not going to cut Levis. And unless you're planning on cutting Levis in Tennessee and bring Wentz in,
right. I mean, that's obviously
that's the only way you do it, because I don't want Wentz if I've still got Levis. I've got three quarterbacks. One's getting cut anyhow. Doesn't make any sense.
So, I mean, he's 32. There's a lot of similarities to Geno Smith. Sam Darnold kind of went through the ringer at a much younger age. We all know about Baker. Just, is there still some football life in Carson Wentz and we've given up on him?
The only difference I would say when you're saying mirroring Geno Smith, and David, correct me if I'm wrong, because I very well maybe it wouldn't be the first time this morning, but Geno throughout his career has been relatively healthy. He just had trouble playing.
Correct.
Carson Wentz has gone through a couple of injuries.
He has. I mean, he suffered the major one late in his second year in the league when he was going to win the MVP. We all know what happened. And it was never the same in Philadelphia again. Right.
And it's never really been the same for him again since the injury. So that would be my cautionary tale with Carson Wentz. And I do worry about the fact that he played for two quarterback whisperers and they don't want him.
Well, but you have to find out the story,
Exactly. But that's something I'd have to dig into, and we don't know. So, but you're running out. I mean, the point you do make, David, is that we're running out of choices.
Right.
And there are jobs that are available for starting quarterbacks, and there doesn't seem to be enough of them to fill the jobs that are still remaining.
And the reason in this role play that I brought up Wentz is that, we've gone through the whole Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson thing, and nobody seems excited about either one. Nobody seems really to even want to settle for either one. So then why not bring up Carson Wentz then? I mean, Rodgers is 41 and Russ is what, 36? I mean, I'm bringing up a guy who just turned 32 2 months ago. Hasn't gotten hurt the last 2 years. Hell, he's thrown 40 passes for 300 yards for 2 years now.
So there would have to be a lot of research done by me with McVay and Reed, however I can find out that information. But David, he's certainly a viable candidate out there. I don't know if I'd want him, but we're running out of guys to pick. Miller and Moulton, Pat Kirwan, in 30 minutes to talk all things National Football League. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I got 2 things. Do you
All
have
right.
anything?
I was just wanting to talk a little Cowboys and the comments that Lawrence made there about never winning a Super Bowl and Micah getting hot. I thought that was funny.
What did he say? Dallas is my home, but they definitely are not winning a Super Bowl there.
Yeah. Dallas is my home. Made my home there. My family lives there. I'm forever going to be there, but I know for sure that I'm not going to win a Super Bowl there. Parsons called it clown blank, to which Lawrence responded, calling me a clown won't change the fact that I told the truth. Maybe if you spent less time tweeting and more time winning, I wouldn't have left.
Whoa!
Yeah, uh-huh.
Hello.
That's a good one. Damn. Mike, I just perusing a little social media here. Mike Hill's a good bowler. FGCU, SID, Mike Hill.
Right. FSW, right.
Yeah. Rolled a 785 series with a 289 game.
Nice.
Yeah. 220 average. That's pretty damn good.
I think he's living in Arkansas.
I think so.
He's married, 2 kids.
Mm-hmm. Good-looking kids, too.
Well, he's
a good-looking kid. He's a good-looking kid, and his wife's good-looking. So
right,
it stands to reason.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got a really good-looking black dude and a really good-looking white woman, and they produced, guess what? Really
good looking kids, right?
And he doesn't age at all. He still looks like he's
No. Oh, I know. He still looks 27.
Yep.
Mike.
One of the all-time good guys. I like him.
God, was Mike fun.
He was. That trip with him, he was doing the girls, and what's his name?
Was doing the
Pierce
boys.
Pat was doing the boys, yeah.
Tell you what, Mike was amazing on social media and graphic design. He designed that floor at FSW.
Yeah, that's what he's doing now, right? For her, he works for her dad's company or something like that.
Yes, yeah. I don't know what they do, but
he was doing like the marketing and this. But
see, now he's making too much money. You can't bring him back into college athletics.
No.
That's why people, once they get out, they can't go back in. They can't afford to come back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till Pat Kirwan will join us here on Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. We'll revisit the Rays Stadium saga and their future in St. Pete seems over. After the news yesterday, Evan Closky will join us 1 hour from now. He works for Channel 10 in Tampa, St. Pete.
And while I agree with you that it looks like it's done for Sternberg and the Rays in St. Pete, I do want to point out again, David Sampson still thinks this is a negotiation tactic. He might be the only one, but he doesn't think it's dead with Sternberg and St. Pete, for what it's worth.
And I think it's dead for Sternberg and St. Pete. And I don't even know how Stu's going to get a deal anywhere in that region. I don't know that anyone in that region will do a deal with them. I think they'll gladly line up to do a deal with the next owner, if there is one. Hey, couple different things. What is it that you used to call future considerations?
Freddie Charles. That's not just me. That was a hockey term when a player would get traded for future considerations and they'd go, who do you get traded for? Freddie Charles, because it just sounded a little better than getting dealt for the player to be named later.
Right, $250 or a bag of bucks.
Exactly. Right. So Freddie Charles was future considerations.
Well, I don't know about you, Mark, but, being the goober, the geek that everybody knows that I am, my favorite part of the old sports section was the transactions. And I didn't care if it was minor league teams either. I was just fascinated by them, and I would just study them. Loved the transactions section. All right. One of the best stories Sports Illustrated I felt they ever did was they just took a snapshot in time, a day, and they took a snapshot of the transactions section, and they then tracked down every single person involved in the transaction section. Who got traded, who did the trading, the whole deal. And they wrote this 12-page missive on it. I thought it was fascinating as to what came of everyone, etc.
It was a dream of mine when I first got in the business, and Agate Pages was where the transaction page transactions would be in the sports page, is that occasionally, an AGM or a GM would make the list. Never a broadcaster. I'm like, if I keep working in this business, I might make a transactions page one day.
Yes. So the Utica Comets made a trade yesterday. All right. I think that's an AHL team. All right. I'm not sure which affiliate it is, but the Utica Comets, Mark, made a trade yesterday. And they traded a defenseman by the name of Will McKinnon to the Cleveland Monsters for Freddie Charles.
David, they are in the American Hockey League. They are the New Jersey Devils affiliate.
For the longest time, they were called the Utica Devils, so I didn't recognize them now that they're the Utica Comets. Okay. So Dan McKinnon is the GM of the Utica Comets. I don't know if you caught the name of the defenseman who was traded by the Utica Comets. His name was Will McKinnon.
Was that his kid?
Dad traded his son for Freddie Charles.
Ouch. That makes for one awkward Thanksgiving. Couldn't even get a player for his kid. Now, the odds are he probably did his kid a solid.
Right. More
Because
playing time, blah, blah,
if
blah.
it's a Devils affiliate, there could be players coming down, could be whatever the case may be. He could be losing a lot of minutes, and he might have sent him to Cleveland to do him a solid.
Right.
Then again, he might have just said, I need to get this guy's face out of here.
But I love the Utica, X page. And at the bottom, they said, thanks for everything, Mac. Did you see this other little thing yesterday?
Just quickly, the Utica Comets are from second from the bottom in the Eastern Conference.
Okay.
Cleveland looks as if they're a playoff team. Barely. They're fighting it out.
Okay, so he'll play some meaningful games here and a chance to get some playoff action.
Exactly.
Okay. So did you see the Marlins announcement yesterday?
Did they announce a new sandwich that they're serving? Because I can't be about baseball because no one gives a damn.
It is about baseball, although it's not necessarily at the major league level. The Marlins are trying to form a practice squad. They're seeking practice squad participants in Jupiter from April 1st to September 15th. They'll pay you $150 a day. You need to be available noon to 5 on approximately 10 to 15 home game days per month when the Jupiter Hammerheads are in town. I've never heard of a major league team doing something like this.
A practice squad?
Yeah, and that's literally, the logo and everything. Marlins practice squad, calling former collegiate and former professional baseball players. Got an email to send your interest to, phone number, the whole deal. Unique opportunity to gain exposure, to players, coaches, enhance your understanding, high-level training, receive performance data on your practice sessions where applicable. Basically, if an outside chance to get back in the game. Remember, they've narrowed the draft down to 20 rounds? It used to be 60. I mean,
Trevor Bauer should show up. He should.
Yes, he should. Yep. So just something I saw that I've never seen before. That's all.
Well, this is something I'm sure people will hear more about today and probably read yesterday. But DeMarcus Lawrence is now a Seattle Seahawk. He had spent 11 seasons in Dallas. And when doing an interview, he said, a change of scenery is always good, but Dallas is my home. Made my home there. My family lives there. I'm forever going to be there. But I know for sure I'm not going to win a Super Bowl there. So, yeah, we hear. Well, Micah Parsons did not like those comments, and he quickly took to X, where he called it clown blank. That would be a word that begins with S and ends in T. Lawrence did not take very long to respond. And he said, calling me a clown won't change the fact that I told the truth. Maybe if you spent less time tweeting and more time winning, I wouldn't have left. That's a mic drop.
That is.
Now, I think Micah Parsons can tweet all he wants because his play on the field's pretty damn good.
Yes, it is.
But the fact of the matter is that I think Micah's more upset about reading the truth, knowing it's the truth, and trying to figure out what he's going to do going forward when he gets offered the bag from Jarrah. Because he'll take it.
Oh, sure. Well, the modern athlete's like, I'll take the bag and then I can ask for the trade and get my way, whether they will or not. I mean, in the NBA, it always seems to work. Maybe it doesn't work as well in other sports, but yeah, you take the bag, you take the guaranteed money, and then you carve your future. I was shocked when Seattle gave DeMarcus Lawrence the deal they gave him, by the way. I mean, you did mention he's played 11 years in the league.
Yeah.
They gave him a 3-year deal for $42 million. Now, I think only 18 of it's guaranteed, which is basically like they're guaranteeing a year and, a small part of year 2. But, I mean, I was surprised.
I do think, they're both going to get their bag. I find it interesting because Seattle's not going to the playoffs this year. So to make a comment like that about Dallas is, if he would have gone to Kansas City, the Rams, I don't know, a million other teams, David. But Seattle, with what they've done, and then to take a shot at Dallas never going to win a Super Bowl there, do you really think you're going to win one in Seattle under this contract? Because it's the last one you'll play for in the National Football League. You're 32. You're coming off of an injury. I love the comments. I think the comments are accurate. Not so much about telling Micah not to tweet so much, but the fact that, do you really think Dallas is going to win a Super Bowl in the next 4 years? Hell, how many times are they going to make the playoffs in the next 4 years?
That's a good question.
It really is.
Over, under 2.5.
Under. Under, without question.
That's because you're counting on them not making it this coming season. So then, they'd have to go 3 for 3 in order to go over.
Well, and I just look at their division. When do you see the Dallas Cowboys being better than the third team in that division? With where the Eagles are right now, with where Washington's heading, when do you see Dallas surpassing one of those two teams? I mean, we can leave the Giants out of it. You know that.
Oh yeah, I wasn't gonna correct you. They did just win 12 games 3 straight years.
And they got worse last year.
They did.
And they're going to get worse this year.
Well, how much of them getting worse, though, was the injury to Dak and a lot of other people? Like
a lot of those people have gotten old. They've lost. I mean, their line's not as good. They don't have a running game. They don't have a backup. They don't have a number 2 receiver. Explain to me this roster, how you think it can get back to 12 games.
Apparently, the Cowboys are very much in it for Cooper Kupp. How different do you think that offense looks? They can get their hands on a running back in this draft. I mean, they can. 2nd round, 3rd round, they can get a running back in this draft. I mean, hell. I mean, I think they're drafting too high to take one. But, I mean, they could take Gentry, by the way.
Yes, they could. And you put Gentry and Cooper Kupp. I don't know how good the line is anymore. And that will affect Dak. But Cooper Kupp's interesting because I think he seems to think he's worth a lot more than what he is, but it only takes one. Dallas doesn't have a lot of money to pay him.
Well, Jerry can find money because he can turn anything into a bonus because he's got the cash. It's like the Chiefs going to the bank of Mahomes. I mean, Jerry can find it if he needs it. Now, does he keep kicking the can? Oh, yeah. But Jerry's in his early 80s. I think Jerry has no trouble kicking the can at this point.
Oh, not at all. Why would you?
Because that's Steven who's going to have to, clean up the can or get a new can. Right. But the Cowboys have won 43 games the last 4 years. I mean, that's all. I mean, there might be a little more there than we're giving them credit for. It did go 12, 12, 12, and 7. It's kind of like Seattle. Seattle's won 9, 9, and 10 games the last 3 years. They've had 3 straight winning seasons. Now, they haven't won a playoff game. In fact, they've only made the playoffs once in those 3 years. But they have had 3 straight winning seasons. I mean, Seattle, to me, is one of the most fascinating, if not the most fascinating team so far this offseason. Because they are dismantling a 10-win team. That, to me,
they are basically looking at their team and going, what we have is not good enough to get it done in the postseason. So rip it down.
Right. They're doing what the Bills did first year with Bean and McDermott. Remember, they make the playoffs at 9 and 7, and they take a look and they go, yeah, don't tell anybody, but this is as good as we can do with this group. Let's start tearing it down. And
that was the Tyrod Taylor year, right?
Right. And they then said, we got to do better than Tyrod Taylor. We got to go find somebody.
And, well, they did.
Exactly.
They did. Miller and Moulton. Today is National Potato Chip Day, which gives us not one, but 2 potato chip questions. The first one is, what is the best chip brand of all time? Believe it or not, right now, Cape Cod beating both Lay's and Ruffles.
Wow.
Pringles up the rear.
Wow.
And the sour cream and onion. Oh, I'm sorry. The plain chip now leading sour cream and onion by mere percentage points. Barbecue in third, salt and vinegar in last. All of them between 21 and 30% of the vote go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X to vote. Pat Kirwan to talk potato chips. No, I'm just kidding. Pat Kirwan to talk the National Football League, some of the things that we've already discussed, and we'll see what's on Pat's mind when we come back to Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. You have a sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit SleepTreatmentDirect.com. That's SleepTreatmentDirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor, a neighborly company.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has the look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. I feel tired, sluggish, and just not myself. I'm gaining weight, my energy is low, and I've lost my drive. Could it be low testosterone?
Absolutely. Testosterone naturally declines over time, but you don't have to accept it. Low T can affect your energy, strength, mood, and focus. But here's the good news. Testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, can help restore your vitality and get you back to feeling your best. Imagine waking up strong, sharp, and energized, ready to take on the day like you used to. At Revitalize Clinic, we specialize in physician-guided, American-made TRT designed just for you.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. Feel like yourself again. Testosterone replacement therapy, because your best years aren't behind you, they're just getting started. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Good morning, Pat.
Oh, good to hear your voices and see you guys. And sorry about this week, but
hey,
I'm just
don't worry.
I am catching up on a lot of stuff. Like my wife,
good.
She's just booked all my, dentist, eye doctor, dermatologist. I feel like, and I won't go again until the end of next season. Here I am. I heard you talking about Dallas. Yeah, I ain't buying Dallas at all.
No way.
And they got a lot of needs. Yeah, a receiver. Yes, the running back. Easy to do, but defensive tackle, Mozzie Smith stinks. They got to replace Martin. They got to get a left tackle because Tyler Guyton can't do it. Oh, did you see their backup quarterback in case our boy can't keep playing?
Wait, what?
You heard me.
No.
The backup quarterback, the offensive guard, the left tackle, a nickel back, the defensive tackle, a running back, a wide receiver. Oh, and then there's two things called Philadelphia and Washington. I wouldn't give Dallas 9 wins.
Well, and that's why, I look at Pittsburgh. Obviously, they don't have I look at Pittsburgh the same way.
They are a shell of themselves, Pittsburgh. You're right about that.
I know the defense is still good, but that offensive line is at best average, and I think below average. They got a nice tight end. Now they've got 2 receivers. Everybody thinks they're going to trade Pickens there.
Well, they don't have a quarterback.
Well, that's part of it.
That's like the biggest thing. Like, we had a lot of Steeler calls yesterday. Because one guy was like completely out of his mind. He said, "It's not the quarterback. It's this." I said, "No, it's the quarterback." I said, "Let's look at your rival, the Ravens. They twice moved up into the first round to get Flacco and to get up and get Lamar." I said, "You guys haven't done anything like that since Ben retired." But this is so typical of teams that had a franchise, probably a Hall of Fame quarterback. Miami is just starting to recover. The Saints aren't going to recover. Heck, have the Dallas Cowboys recovered from Troy? No. So, and these Steeler fans, they are delusional. What's new with you guys?
Same stuff for me, Pat. It is a constant running around. I will say this, though. So the daughter's playing softball. I told David this the other day. I might even said it on the air.
She playing for the school?
No. She's just playing in the rec league.
Yeah.
That won't start for a couple of years. But the ump didn't show, and 7:30 game, and now it's after 7:30, and I'm like, I just want this damn game over with, and I'm like, I'll do it, and so I had to ump a half an inning, and I was no mask, no chest. I was just waiting for a foul tip in the mouth. That's all I was expecting the whole time.
Yeah. Well, You remember that? Remember the softball thing, David, up in the East Coast, King in his court? I had the ref when they played the fireman because the ref.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Halfway home in the 239 and the 904, final hour of the show in Lake City, Live Oak and surrounding areas, Charlotte County, Venice and surrounding areas, Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X, joining us once again. And his appearances are always brought to us courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West at all points in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. Pat Kirwan, he of NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, weekdays 3 to 7. And during the football season, he works Sundays for CBS's NFL Today show. Also then does a Saturday radio show. So he doesn't have a day off forever. And he joins us once again here on Miller and Moulton. How are you?
I'm doing great, fellas. And it is a little odd not really having to go rush up to New York City on the weekends and all that business. But I'm enjoying myself and really just hoping that free agency kind of fizzles out by next Tuesday or Wednesday where there's nothing left. We've already had 145 one-year deals. So then I can get back to the draft, which I really have had to put on the back burner until I get through this thing. But it's I went through yesterday thinking I was going to talk to you. I went through everyone's starting lineup week 18. And I threw out a couple of guys I knew were just out there because the team was just not going anywhere and they were playing some kids. And I asked how many of those guys are still available. I had 30 players that were real starters. And how many of them are, there's 27 of them haven't been signed yet. So we're going to have some more action with this stuff. But I think it's, first off, I guess this is a question to you two. Do you think we need more than 2 weeks for free agency? I'd close it up.
Well, I mean, you've got the whole June 1st designation. Wouldn't you have to have a round 2?
Yeah. I just think it's going to die real fast here, and then it's not going to go up again until then. But I've been laughing, and you and I, the three of us, talked about this. That what the dead period, the 2-day illegal legal stuff.
Right.
We can start signing guys at the combine because that's when the deals were done. That's when the deals were done, and some of them I think were done before that. But I heard you talk about the Cowboys, and I try to update my needs board once a week with all the volatility, and I have wide receiver on there, which maybe Cup resolves that. The running back is a draft resolve. The defensive tackle, Mozzie Smith, has to be the backup, and he's not yet. The left tackle can't play left tackle. The right guard, Martin retired. You got to figure that out, and they haven't. The backup quarterback, I don't know. I don't think you're going to win any games with the guy you have. Maybe even a nickel back, and then there's Philadelphia and Washington in the division. I don't think Dallas is in great shape to advance towards a playoff team.
Pat, you mentioned 145 one-year deals.
Yeah.
You have been tracking this for a while. I noticed the first couple of days there were not a lot. I mean, it seemed like there were less multi-year deals. You spoke of the one-year deals. Were there less, more, the same of multi-year deals in the early part of free agency?
Yeah, well, at the end of the first day, we had 1 6-year deal, 3 5-year deals. Well, it used to be a big popular number of 5-year deals because you could spread bonus out. Only had 3 of them. 14 4-year deals, and the big thrust of the first day was 3-year contracts, and there were 55 of them. And that seems to be the new model, 3-year deals. And I have a feeling, I haven't read them all because they're not out and published completely, but I have a feeling they're like 1-year deals that you can get out of after 1 year. I think most are going to look like that. But there were already 45 1-year deals. Now, explain this to me, guys. Who signs a 1-year deal on the first day of free agency? Apparently 45 guys did. That's called nervous. They're going to. Someone said to them, "You sign this now, we're going to move on." And they signed them. 45 guys on day one. And that's different. It used to be the second week would be the start of the 1-year deals when everyone realized this weekend, as an example, I guess I'm not getting what I thought I'd get. But now we're gonna go into week 2 with 100 and probably 150 of them signed, which is unbelievable. Think about it. Those 150 guys are all going to be in free agency again next year to go along with all the guys that were going to be free. And the league continues to have all the leverage over the players.
We just got a comment in the Twitch chat room what the heck the Bengals are doing. Okay, whether it's the Bengals or anybody else, teams that you don't quite understand this week, now that it's almost over, what they're doing. And what are the Bengals doing? Have they done anything?
Well, you know, those guys, they're kind of narrow-minded in the sense that they have in their minds a belief of what a guy's worth and what a position's worth. And they've been prudent, and some would call them cheap. The T. Higgins thing, the more you think about it, they're going to have to let him play on the tag and then say goodbye to him, because the way things are going with Jamar Chase, and they can't stomach the idea of having to pay that guy what he's going to be the highest paid receiver. And they'll do it eventually. But next year, if Trey Hendrickson's still here, which I believe he will be because no one's going to give them what they want for him, you only have one tag. So between Hendrickson and Jamar, you only can tag one. They'll tag the receiver. So you think they'd be smart enough to go, all right, let's suck it up. I know that all this money went $35 million for Crosby. Now he deserves what Crosby got if you're looking at production. But they're not going to do it. So they're going to end up losing him next year. So what's a shame in my mind is that they do a good job of drafting there. The people that run the personnel part they get nice players. They just can't hold on to him. And they're going to end up losing Hendrickson next year. They'll force him to play this year. And then he's going to be gone because they're going to need the tag for Jamar. And I don't think they'll get Jamar Chase done. If they do, it'll be a change of scenery because the only guys they ever take care of are the quarterback, and everything else has to fall in line. They give the quarterback what he needs, but the rest of them, nope.
Who do you like? Who do you think's done a better job in free agency thus far, the Vikings or the Bears? Because I think they've both done a really nice job, Pat.
I do too. It's a real good sign for the NFC North. The two defensive tackles that are going to line up for Minnesota, I like them a lot. Obviously the big question in Chicago is what's the growth and development of the young quarterback. But they did what Buffalo did when they got Josh Allen. You guys have talked about it. I've heard you. They went out and bought a line and put a veteran line in front of Josh Allen, and that's what these guys are doing. They are putting a line. Did you see the comment about Ben Johnson? It was pretty funny yesterday. They showed a picture of Ben Johnson.
Yes.
And then they showed a picture of him now, and they said he's aging like a president. I was like, the poor guy is weathered. You know, it's hard, man, trying to build something like this. But they're letting him spend money. So we'll see where it goes. But it's a good question, Mark. I guess I really I don't know what to say. I don't know if McCarthy's any good. No one knows if he's any good. But they boxed themselves in whether you're going to have to play him. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going there. So where are they going to get the year started if they have to get it started? Or where are they going if the guy isn't that good and they're trying to win games with those veterans? You start buying those tackles on defense the way they did, they expect to win.
Joe Flacco, sign him now.
Oh, Joe. I think he's going to be the backup at David's team, the Gigundos.
Which is interesting because then I'm curious who the starter is going to be for them. But, hey, we liked the new coach in Seattle. They did a very good job. John Schneider was aggressive with Pete. But this is fascinating what they're doing here. They took a 10-win team that lost out on winning the division on a tiebreaker, and they are really changing it on the fly and hoping to be the same or better in doing it. That's tough to do. I'm very surprised by Seattle throwing away the offense that they had.
Me too, and I worry about it for Mike. But remember, John was not in charge when Pete was there. Pete was in charge.
Right.
Now John's in charge. And John has, and I get it. He's always had a vision of what he'd do if he was making the calls. So now he's making the calls. I think betting on Sam Darnold is okay. I don't have a problem with that. But moving away from the other guys, and sometimes I see the cap logic more than the football logic, right? Ooh, cap charge. So the quarterback, the two receivers. When you fired Lockett and then say to him going out the door, we might bring you back. I think Lockett's about to say, yeah, okay, I might be gone too. I know Lockett's got his real estate job and business up there. That doesn't mean he's going to stay and play. He's just going to live there the rest of his life. I think Richard Sherman lives up there. A bunch of guys don't leave. It's a nice place to live, I suppose. So, but I think John's taking some chances. And I don't know, David, I've said this to you before. When you get a job as a brand new head coach, don't waste your honeymoon year. And he just wasted his honeymoon year. He did a nice job, and now he's got to start over with all these new guys.
I mean, Gino had been there 6 years, though. I mean, people forget he backed up Russ for 3 years. I mean, Geno Smith had been there for 6 years, 3 consecutive winning seasons. I mean, I don't know. And not only that, you both your top 2 wide receivers, your quarterback and your top 2 wide receivers.
Well, John is leaking out stuff that you got to be careful. Like he said the other day, Gino wanted over 40. He won $45 million a year, and I got Darnold for 33. Again, a cap comment, a dollars comment. So the more I think about what you just said, I wouldn't have let Gino go. But I get he basically said we moved him because we couldn't negotiate with him. That sounds like Cincinnati all of a sudden.
It does sound as if they were being a little cheap, to say the very least. Is this, because San Francisco, they've made a lot of changes too. I don't know how much. I don't think they're better than they were a year ago. I don't think Seattle's better than they were a year ago. The Rams will be interesting, but does this open the door for the Arizona Cardinals, Pat? We've got about a minute.
Yeah, I think the door's been open for them once before, but they weren't able to step inside. Do I think that the field has been leveled a little bit where they should feel like competitors? They should. But I think if we talk about this for more than 10 more seconds, we're going to get right to Kyler Murray, and do we believe he can do it? At this point, I probably wouldn't sell the Rams short just because of the coach and the quarterback and that young defense that rushes the passer. I think this is set up for the Rams again. I might be wrong on that, but you guys tell me what you think.
Well, he's the best coach in the division, and they have the best quarterback in the division. I mean, I'm sorry, I take McVay over Shanahan. So,
yeah, and that those 3 young defensive kids, I love them.
Yep. He's Pat Kirwan. NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, weekdays 3 to 7. One more segment with Pat, courtesy of Pinchers.
Do you have a sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
This is Miller and Moulton.
All right. Mark, the key question, did you have to call your daughter out on strikes?
No, she was catching when I was umping. The look on her face when I walked on the field and was standing behind her, she's like, oh, no.
Yeah, that'd be my kids.
And then I felt so badly because the girl that's pitching, I know her family, and it's like there was a couple pitches she made that were really, they don't throw a lot of strikes in U10 softball. And I'm like, I want to call strikes, but they're not strikes. I can't do it.
Yeah. Oh, God. Your neighbors hate you now.
Right.
Well, I hope you had a pair of glasses in your pocket. So when they told you were blind, you could take them and put them in. Oh, thank you. I forgot. Oh, Lord. Yeah. I said before, that guy, the king in his court, I think they were from Ohio.
Were they from Ohio or Pennsylvania? Eddie.
Yeah. He had like 3 guys, and he could beat any team.
Well, I grew up watching real fast pitch softball. They were, the king in his court were like Harlem Globetrotters.
Yep.
My neighbor across the street sponsored our city's softball team. It was a big deal in our area. He used to bring pitchers from New Zealand over to pitch. His son, who's a friend of mine, Doug's a little bit older than me. Doug's now the pitching coach at Virginia Tech, spent his whole life throwing a softball for money.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And Doug's now, I'm 55. Doug's got to be 60. And I mean, he's made his whole living, his whole life, pitching and teaching pitching and softball.
I'll ask you, I never knew the girls with the windmill, how fast do they throw when they throw windmill?
I don't know what the miles per hour is. All I know is it's heat because they're 46 feet away too, Pat.
Yeah. No.
That thing's coming at you in a hurry.
Yep. I watched a girl, she was young and her father was training her, and it was interesting to watch. And it's healthier to throw that way than throwing a baseball.
Oh yeah, I mean,
puts the joint in a bad spot.
One of the best sporting events I've ever seen, Pat. In my hometown, they had the World Softball Tournament in the late 70s, early 80s, whenever the hell it was. And I still remember the guys, Peter Meredith and Peter Finn, the pitchers for the 2 teams. The game went 35 innings.
No.
They pitched the whole game. I was there with my dad, and it was the last game of the night. And it's about the 13th, 14th inning. My dad says, all right, we're either staying or we're going now. I said, we're staying, Dad. 3:30 in the morning we walked.
Oh, God. Well, as I said, my only umpiring story is I went to see those guys, and I think I was like a college freshman, and the umpire didn't show up. He eventually showed up, but I had to go out and umpire. They just came right in the stands and said, I think everyone else was like 80 years old. So they asked me I go, man, I don't know a lot about baseball. Anyway, I'm out there. The pitcher comes up to me and says, don't worry, kid. They ain't going to get a hit here. I said, okay. And they didn't. See you later, Janet.
So Eddie came up to you?
I didn't know who he was, but I just realized, and they were unbelievable.
Yeah, they were. Eddie Feiner. He was the king.
Yeah, it was like they were playing the local fire department in a fundraiser.
I saw them play WCBS, Channel 2 in New York, whose legendary anchor, Jim Jensen,
I knew Jim.
Was their star pitcher. And Eddie Feiner and Jim Jensen were going at it in a softball game.
Oh, I love that.
And like Jensen shows up in his suit, okay, goes behind a truck, takes his suit off, puts a softball uniform on, plays, and they're leaving there like, 9:30, and he's heading back to the city. And that was like my first introduction to, I guess somebody writes his stuff.
Yeah, well, there it is.
Yeah.
the revelation of I guess it's not a one-man army here.
I was going to say.
And then you said, you know what? I could write for him. Maybe I'll get that job.
Well, no, because I wanted to, get
You
into.
you wanted to be play-by-play. I always remember what you told me.
Yep. But
who was your idol? You had one guy you loved.
The first guy I latched onto was Kurt Gowdy.
Yeah. That meant Saturday afternoons, didn't it?
And Sundays, because
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
With Pat Kirwan. Pat's appearances are always brought to us courtesy of Pinchers, but Pat and all our guests appear on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs, American Paint Supplies. All right. Who's done a good job in the last 4 days that we haven't mentioned in your estimation?
Well, it's funny how I look at things, but first off, the three teams that are just wearing out the one-year deals, which gives them all the leverage with the guys. Houston has done 9 of them. Washington's done 8. Washington's signing players like they're rebuilding, and they're a good team. And I like where they're going. And San Francisco signed 7 of them. So those guys, not that it's the end of the world, but they know they can get out from these guys in 1 year. And the world of volatility, they keep giving themselves options next year, which I kind of like that way of doing business. I had a great talk with Joey Bosa yesterday about going to Buffalo. I don't know if you guys were listening, but he was.
I caught most of it. I enjoyed it.
Did you hear him when he was mimicking his mother's voice?
Yes.
What the hell were you doing? Signing with Buffalo. I said, come on, one more time. Let me hear your mom's voice. So he was, what he said? He was nervous about going. He said it. He goes, I didn't, even after I committed, I wasn't sure I did the right thing. But when I went up there and met the people and saw what it's all about, and I said, that's happened. Von Miller, call Von Miller. That's what happened to him. He didn't really know if he wanted to go there, and he fell in love with the place. So I kind of like where they're going. So the question is, are you a team that's rebuilding and are using free agency to rebuild? I don't recommend that. Or are you a team that's 1 or 2 players from the top and you need to get there? And maybe it's easier for me to look the other way and say, what the heck is Pittsburgh doing? I don't understand it. What happened to them?
I do think, though, Pat, you can build, like Washington last year signed like 20 guys, but they looked at their roster and said, our roster is so bad. We're not going to sign for the top half of our roster. We're going to try to fortify the bottom half of our roster and raise our floor significantly. And probably Bobby Wagner was maybe the best player they brought into the fold. I sense they're doing similar things with 1 or 2 exceptions. They're still trying to, fill in the middle part of their roster.
They are, and they've signed a lot of guys that are going to be the backups. And like the D-line, now they've already signed 4 guys to fill in the defense. And I know that Dan likes to rotate his guys, so that's good. But they really helped their offense. Laramie Tunsil, someone else had to be – this is right up your alley, GM David. To give away those 4 picks, someone else had to be in the middle of that. And I'm thinking it was Kansas City. You don't land up giving up 4 picks unless no one negotiates against themselves. I just wonder who else was after Tunsil.
But it was a 3rd, a 7th, a 4th, and a 6th. These were not tremendous value picks, Pat.
Well, look at free agency, period. I mean, the Rams couldn't get a 2nd for Stafford. Could not get one. I know that for a fact. And no one would budge off a 3rd. And it was the 3rd and really nothing else. And for 4 picks for a tackle, to me said, someone else was fighting for that guy. Now, I'm not a big Deebo Samuel fan because of the drops, but all that clever stuff as a running back, that does not shock or surprise anybody. They don't care about that.
Well, and I'm with you because, and I may be a little different than you. I love what Washington's doing, but they're a good team. I mean, we look back at last year, all the 1-score games, all the come from behind victories. Their season could have been very different a year ago. And I think they've been smart in trying to rebuild because after they played the NFC Championship game, they realized just how far away from the top that they are, Pat.
Well, isn't that what Buffalo did the first year when they got to the playoffs? And they got rid of the team anyway, right at the end of the game, because they knew they weren't going to go any further with those guys. And they moved a ton of guys right off the roster. It takes a lot of guts to do it. It's something like Jerry won't do. Jerry just keeps trying to refire the group. But to liquidate him is one thing, and I think he should do it. Now, when I look at the Commanders, there are plenty of good right tackles, and they need to get Andrew Riley back to backup role and get a big tackle in there, someone that's going to last a long time. Their receiver group's fine. The running back thing is good. I love that they brought Marcus Mariota back. That guy is very good for Daniels. Yeah, so some of the guys that they signed a lot of Cowboys last year. Armstrong and the center Beatrice and all those guys. But I like where they're going. And your local boy, Quan Martin, is doing a great job. So I don't know how Dallas is going to catch those guys. Now, Jim Miller, I'll just tell you what he said. Please object if you want to. He thinks they're going to win the division.
Washington?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not ready to go there yet.
And here's his comment, and he says it multiple times a week. They have the best quarterback in the division, Jaden Daniels. And he thinks with Dan and the way they're setting this up, Frankie Louvu and Wagner and Eagles, he thinks they can win the division. I don't know. But it's interesting to hear a guy who played. He's not saying it because he likes them. He just thinks they're gonna.
The backup tackle in San Francisco that Kansas City is rolling the dice on. What's it, Jalen Moore? He's going to come in, he's going to play left tackle, and he's going to work out. This is quite the gamble. You're either going to be brilliant and the Niners are going to look really foolish letting him get away, or this, to me, Pat, is a move that you look back on when it doesn't work out and go, what the hell were you thinking?
Well, I agree with you 100%. And isn't it, if you look back over the last, let's call it 4 years, have they continuously made a mistake at left tackle?
Yes.
Donovan Smith was there for a couple of years, and they were just waiting to get rid of him. And then they got to this year, and they tried to roll all these young guys through there, and they couldn't do it. And then they said goodbye to Joe Tooney, which I don't get that part. If your investment is the quarterback, what are you doing?
I mean, he graded out as one of the top 3 guards in the league, for goodness sakes. I mean, up until the Super Bowl, okay, they voted him the MVP of the team, for goodness sakes. How in the world are you letting Joe Tooney go? And not only that, he was not a ton of money. Guards are making over $20 million now. He was making like 13.
I know. And so you want to, there's the question of the head scratcher deals. That's one of them.
I mean, they traded Joe Tooney for Jalen Moore. I mean, seriously, that's what they did financially. What the hell?
No, I think it's a mistake. And now all of a sudden they're sliding Kingsley, the BYU kid, into guard.
He can't play.
He can't play. Thank you. So that left side is shaky at best. And your quarterback is starting to get hit more than he should. And that line, remember when they were the top 3 guys on the inside, 2 guards in the center? They're not that anymore. So it's a question mark, but it goes back to some of the guys that they've had on this roster. Wanya Morris, what the heck? He never panned out for them. So you look and go, I don't know. Maybe they got something in their plans here to draft one, but their GM said to me at the combine, it's going to be hard where we are to get one of the best. I said, get a left tackle and draft him, plug him in. He goes, not where we're sitting. And they're way at the bottom, right? Pick 31. How are they getting up to get one of the top 3 tackles? They're not.
No, they're not. And they don't have the capital to go up and get it. I mean, that's the other part of it. They could want to go up, but I don't think they have the capital to go up and make that move unless they're going to really give away a lot of their future.
Yep, I agree with that. And I don't think they will do that. But they're going to try to do what they've been doing for the last 4 years. It might be 5 years if I think about how long Donovan Smith was there. But the last couple of years, they just have a blatant. And this is the team that lost the Super Bowl at Tampa Bay because of their tackles.
Right. But they then went out and replaced them with proven good players. They didn't do that this time. In fact, they got rid of arguably their best proven lineman in doing it. I wonder, and that division is finally getting their act together. It's been a long time, but they're getting their act together. He's Pat Kirwan. He's got his act together. NFL Radio's moving the chains, weekdays 3 to 7. Of course, CBS's NFL Today show. Pat joining us once again. Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, all points in between. Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor, a neighborly company.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Andy, you're going to bet on Denver to win the AFC West? Wow, that's a shocker. I thought you'd pick Kansas City.
Did you call Evan?
Not yet. Call him right now.
Well, I haven't said anything, Emmett. I just want to see how everything plays out in the next 7 weeks.
He's on.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes to the top of the hour. We'll play whether they're in or out with our resident bracketologist, Shelby Mast, coming up at the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Joining us on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs, Evan Closky. He's the sports director, 10 Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay, the CBS affiliate, WTSP. You can follow Evan on X at eClosky with a C, Closky, eClosky, WTSP, eClosky, WTSP. Evan, it's David and Mark. Thanks for getting up and doing this. How are you?
Oh, no problem at all. I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Well, we're fine. Our first question, at least mine, is, at the end of the day, were you surprised? Because he did walk away from a really good deal for him.
Yeah, I was not surprised because all the tea leaves were reading that Stu was not going to follow through on the deal that was presented in St. Pete. I was a little bit surprised of the announcement, like the day that it actually was announced, because you would figure that maybe you would take it up to the March 31st deadline, let it expire. But at the same point, I think the Rays wanted to actually get this all out of the way before opening day as sort of like hey, to the guys on the team, we're not going to allow this to hang over your head. And because we know that the media is going to come down opening day, they're going to ask a ton of questions about this. So let's just get this out of the way now, and we can focus on baseball once it comes up at the end of the month. But yeah, I mean, there are some concerns about whether Stu is able to financially do the deal. And Matt Silverman, the co-president, even mentioned it yesterday on WDAE when he did his spot, saying we played with thin margins, and when things kind of after the hurricane led to a myriad of events that messed with those thin margins, we didn't feel good about the calculus of the deal anymore, whatever that means.
All right. Is there any way, in your estimation, that pulling out of this deal was a negotiating ploy by Sternberg and the Rays to try to get more out of St. Pete, even though St. Pete says they're not giving anymore?
There's a chance that was part of it, but considering Mayor Welch has been pretty steadfast, saying not another nickel is coming from the city. We made a deal back in July, August, and we're going to honor that deal. We want you guys to honor that deal. And Mayor Welch met with the media and said, if this is a negotiation tactic, it's not going to work. I said there's not another nickel, and there's not going to be another nickel. So, maybe it's a last-ditch effort from them, but if they just take the mayor at his word, I don't think they could reasonably think that they would be able to bridge any sort of financial gap, considering what he's been saying privately and publicly.
Evan Closky, 10 Tampa Bay, the CBS affiliate in Tampa, St. Pete. You can follow Evan on X, eClosky. That's Closky with a C, WTSP, eClosky, WTSP. Okay, if St. Pete, the city, and Pinellas County are done with Stu, Does he have anybody in Tampa and Hillsborough who would genuinely sit down and negotiate with him? I mean, where we sit, Evan, we're like, well, who's going to trust him with anything? I mean, didn't he basically announce yesterday that with me as owner, you guys aren't getting a new stadium?
Pretty much. I mean, from where I sit, it sounds like nobody's going to work with Stu as well. Mayor Welch, I mean, he went up there for like 30 minutes being like, yeah, other mayors warned me about dealing with Stu. I thought we had a deal. And then here I am, understanding what everybody else was telling me. And now I'm in the same position. So Stu has dealt with people on the Tampa side. He's dealt with Mayor Jane Castor before. She knows exactly what Stu is all about. Certainly Mayor Welch is not going to hitch his wagon to Stu anymore. So theoretically, I mean, in a re-election process coming up next year for Mayor Welch, if he were to not get reelected, a new mayor could come in and maybe they can rekindle something. But it seems like the bridges have all been burned. Mayor Castor said, hey, I'll take meetings with the Rays. I'm open to whatever they have to say, but it's going to have to make sense for, the people of Tampa, Hillsborough County, so on and so forth. And we already know that they're not going to give him, they're certainly not going to give him the public money that St. Pete and Pinellas were giving him. So if Stu didn't like the deal in St. Pete where he was getting $600 million of public funding, why all of a sudden is he going to go over to Tampa where he's going to get less public funding and spend more money on a stadium when that all blew up a handful of years ago? So it's really tough also to understand where the Rays are at because they constantly run in circles with their comments, right? They always land back and we're going to find a solution. They find a solution. Then they do something and they say, oh no, this doesn't work. And then they come back, we'll find a solution. And they just put us in the merry-go-round all the time. And the number one line that someone told me that it describes them well is that, look, they love to date. They don't like to get married. And at some point you got to get hitched. And they just haven't figured that out yet.
Well, everybody wants them to sell. I mean, Tampa would love to get a new owner. From the sounds of it, Rob Manfred would love to get a new owner. But the fact of the matter is that Sternberg's done nothing to get voted out as owner. I mean, the talk of trying to strong-arm Sternberg into selling the team is one thing, but to get 23 votes of the major league owners to get rid of him because he's been playing St. Pete against Tampa for all these years, I don't think that would ever happen because it would put too much on the other owners for that to happen to them down the road. So is this team, in your estimation, going to be sold? Because yesterday they said it wasn't for sale.
Mm-hmm. I do think eventually it will be sold. When? Unsure. Certainly Stu is not going to go down without a fight, and certainly Stu is also trying to get the price of the franchise to a point to where it's palatable for him to sell, in my estimation. I will say that there are serious financial concerns. Matt Silverman went on record yesterday saying money's not an issue. We have the money, but the rumblings have always been that money seems to be the issue. In the same interview, he said that they were playing with thin margins, and then also said money isn't the issue. So there was a contradiction in the interview of that while that was happening. And at the major league level with the owners, there is a concern whether Stu is indeed rich enough to be part of the club. that they have waited patiently for nearly 2 decades now for him to find a stadium deal. They've gone through the sale project in 2008. They've gone through the Ybor City one before the pandemic. They went through the Montreal City plan in 2021. And now the St. Pete one, where they actually had a deal in hand and $600 million in public funding, and they passed on it. And I think that rubbed a lot of the owners, Major League Baseball, the wrong way because they do want to move forward with their expansion plan. They do want to get the wheels set in motion there. They don't want to utilize another expansion city. So they are going, and not to mention Rob Manfred wants to be part of the Tampa Bay market. He sees it as a place that he wants to stay. So, gathering all those things, I think they are, and Matt Silverman mentioned this as well, they're being impatient. And if they want something done, they have means and a mechanism to force Stu's hand. I don't know if they necessarily want to force him to sell, but they want to force him to make a decision. I think that the owners around Stu are saying, look, dude, this isn't just about you. We cannot do this any longer where we wait on you, and you've had nearly 2 decades to figure this out. We have given you all reasonable amount of time to figure this out. If you don't want to come to a conclusion, we are going to do everything in our power to corner you to make a decision. So maybe that's sell, maybe that's just get a stadium done. We don't care what that is, but enough of this hanging out, dating stuff. Like, make a decision, figure out what you want to do so that we can all move forward, because everybody else has their next things going and they got to figure that out. So is it necessarily forcing him to sell? Not so much. Is it forcing him to make a decision on what he wants to do? I think that's really where Major League Baseball and the owners want to pressure him.
Rob Manfred has come out. Final question for Evan Closky, 10 Tampa Bay. Rob Manfred has come out and said he is committed to the, quote, Tampa Bay region, unquote. Do you think that completely excludes Orlando?
Here's my take on Orlando. No, it does not exclude him. I do genuinely believe that they will search in Tampa. I think they really want to make Tampa happen. Also, St. Pete just gave a bunch of money for a stadium, so they know that it's a viable solution there if they want to go back there, though attendance would not be great. My thing on Orlando is that they have them as sort of this viable backup option. I think a proactive measure to make sure that they can put pressure on Tampa, St. Pete, and not to mention they can put pressure on Miami. I think that Miami, they're not too happy down there as well, and they want to kind of fix some things down there. And, the Tampa Bay Rays have soaked up a lot of the conversation here in Florida, but that's another conversation that's going to happen at some point. So I think that they wanted to build a group in Orlando to say, hey, if you don't do X, Y, and Z, we got an investment group over there ready to go who's interested in a baseball team, and maybe we trickle on over there. Now, when it comes to the Orlando situation, my big question is, are they really going to give $1 billion in TDT money to make that happen? It's been all kind of like, hey, yeah, we're going to split and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And we got all the, we got some private investment and so on and so forth. But there hasn't been any concrete, politicians out there saying, yeah, I am for $1 billion of TDT money going to this baseball team. When they have other entities in town who are going to be like, whoa. I'm going to want a piece of some money. And are you going to have all that to go around later on? Not to mention Orlando has their own traffic issues. So there's a whole other discussion with Orlando. I don't think it's a slam dunk, but I do think they're a viable option. I do think that there is a purpose with them out there. I don't think it's completely all words, but I do think they are clearly the pressure point for the Rays, and then eventually that will turn into a pressure point for the Marlins.
Evan Closky, 10 Tampa Bay, CBS affiliate in Tampa, St. Pete. You can follow Evan on X, Closky, 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 WTSP, Closky, WTSP. Evan, thanks so much for doing this. We really appreciate your insight. Enjoyed your commentary yesterday. All the best.
Yeah, thank you so much. Anytime, guys. Appreciate it.
Evan Closky joining us here on Miller and Moulton in the wake of Stu Sternberg yesterday, midday, releasing a statement. I guess he released the statement before he told the politicians, by the way.
Why would he tell the politicians first?
Well, I don't know. They spent a lot of time together and had $600 million committed in public funds.
Now, why would he call them first? Just put out a statement. It's very Stu.
Saying, no, I'm not signing this deal. Okay. Here's the only solution I can see for Stu. Stu sells like 40% of the team to somebody who is eventually, as part of the deal, going to own 100% of the Rays. And that's the person with the liquid cash. And that's the person who can create the goodwill and the vibes in Tampa. And that basically Stu then gets to stay owner as they build whatever they're going to build in Tampa. And then the agreement price is between $1.5 and $2 billion. Now, I don't know why he'd do it. I would just take the cash and get the hell out myself.
And you would think an owner, a new owner, even though the talk has been of owners going to Tampa, and we all know this franchise from an attendance standpoint would do far better in Tampa than it would St. Pete. These are all things we've discussed, we know. But if you're going to spend $1.5 to $2 billion on a team, you're going to have to convince me that what they're going to give me in Tampa is somewhere in the ballpark of what I'm getting in St. Pete. Because the part of this deal that David and I have been talking about for months is the rest of the land they were giving Sternberg that was going to be worth every bit what the franchise is worth.
One thing I want to throw out there about the Marlins, and yes, Major League Baseball is very unhappy with the Marlins. The Marlins have a lease. They can't relocate before 2047. And I don't know how that lease can be broken. That's 22 more years. Miller and Moulton.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. American Paint Supplies. For nearly 30 years is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. A few of my friends are taking daily Cialis or Viagra. What are the benefits and how much does it cost?
Great question. Cialis, tadalafil, and Viagra, sildenafil, are game changer for men who want better performance, stamina, and confidence. They improve blood flow, support long-lasting performance, and help you feel like yourself again. And the best part, at Revitalize Clinic, we make it affordable. Less than $1 per pill. No overpriced prescription, no hassle, just real results, American made at the best prices in town. Plus, with early hours starting at 5:30 in the morning, we fit your schedule.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. That's 239-980-2302. Get results. Get confidence. Revitalize Clinic, because every man deserves to perform at his best without breaking the bank. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.
So I am at war with Comcast right now.
Okay.
I am an auto pay customer.
Right.
I think we all know what that means, right? So I get an email yesterday saying that I have $51 and something cents past due. Now, first of all, you cannot talk to someone at Comcast.
No.
It's beyond annoying. But so finally, I'm just communicating with the person, and I said, very simple question. As how can I owe you money? I'm an auto pay customer. Whatever my bill is, you take it out. Last month you said my bill was X, you took out X. How do I owe you $51? I cannot get an answer from them. So now I'm at the point, and this would be a problem for me, but you know me, Mark. I'm at the point in which I'm saying, if you don't get back to me today, and I've been a customer for 20 years, close to it.
The problem is you don't have an alternative.
Well, I don't necessarily for internet, but I can, I can do other things.
Right, but you don't for internet.
Right. No.
That's what you need.
I know.
So no matter what, this is, I mean.
I know. Oh, I know.
I'm so excited because we are in our neighborhood going to hotwire fiber optics through our community.
They did that here a few months ago and gave us the opportunity to sign up with this certain company. Yeah.
Well, then you can.
Right.
It looks like it's going to be October, but I cannot wait to cancel my Xfinity service. Cannot wait.
But it's a very simple, if you're auto pay.
Right.
How do I owe you money? And you're threatening to cancel my service. Well, then just take the money out of my account. And if I could talk to someone.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour, Miller and Moulton, on this Friday. Thanks so much for being with us. The bracket wag, Shelby Mast, will join us coming up in a couple minutes. We'll play the are they in or are they out game. It's very simple. It's why we booked him for today. Also, we don't think there is an off-the-reservation radar bid stealer out there. SMU got beat. DePaul got beat. Stanford got beat. I mean, we don't see it right now. Xavier got beat, but they're a bubble team. I mean, we don't see the team that's the only chance, and you know what, they can get in is to win the conference tournament team out there that can steal a bid. But that's why we bring in the bracket wag. Shelby Mast, bracketwag.com. Bracket wag is how you follow him on X. Shelby, are we right or are we wrong? Is there a team out there that is not a bubble team, that is out, unless they win their conference tournament and they're still alive? Is there anybody like that still left?
I think North Carolina's not in.
That didn't work well because I just heard him disconnect. I'll get Shelby back.
Okay. But see, I don't think North Carolina meets the criteria. I think North Carolina is on the bubble. They may just be on the wrong side of it. You know what we're talking about. We're talking about flat out bid stealers. Like if DePaul had won the Big East, SMU, if they had won the ACC, that sort of deal. But so Shelby, North Carolina is a bubble team though, right? There's no DePaul, there's no SMU, there's no Nevada, there's no team out there that has no chance to make it unless they win the conference tournament, right?
Well, the American Conference, that could be Memphis is going to get in, and there's no other team on the bubble. so they could knock someone out. UAB or somebody like that could win. But other than that, I think that's it.
Okay.
Shelby, the one thing I found interesting, because I go to your site every day this time of year, and you do a great job of updating it late in the night and then come on with us early in the morning, so we're always appreciative. But in looking at other people that do what you do, I've never seen this much disparity between your last four in and some of the others' last four in. I mean, someone's gonna be right this year out of all you guys, and someone's gonna eat a little crow, aren't they? Because I've seen a lot of different bubble teams in and a lot of different bubble teams out.
Yeah, the bubble is so cruddy this year that we're trying to pick the four teams in that we think had the least amount of damage, and that varies for a lot of people.
Okay. The two big names that have won games this week, Texas and North Carolina. Is Texas in right now for you?
For me, no. I think they need one more win.
What about North Carolina?
I think they've got to win the conference tournament. They have, people saying that they've done enough this week. Well, they beat Notre Dame and Wake Forest. That doesn't excite me. And I think beating Duke helps, but I don't think that's enough. They've got one quad one win out of 11 or 12 opportunities. You win the conference, and that's okay, but just having two, if they win today, I don't think is enough.
And will the committee look at this win differently if they were to beat Duke, because both Cooper Flagg and Malik Brown are going to be out for the game? Cooper Flagg, we all know about. Brown's a big part of that team too. Would the committee look differently upon this win because of the injuries to Duke, Shelby?
They might. I don't know. You don't know for sure what all the committee is looking at and what they put emphasis on, but I would think it would have an impact. But if they only go by numbers, then no.
Okay, let's go SEC. Oklahoma and Arkansas both won games, both lost at the buzzer yesterday. Are they in?
I think so. I think they've done enough. Nothing spectacular, but they have done enough to get in.
Both Colorado State and Boise have made the Mountain West semis.
Yeah.
They are both playing teams that you and everybody else have as in. If Boise and Colorado State both win today, obviously then one would win the final and get an automatic berth. But would it be enough for the other to win today and lose the final and still get a bid?
I would like to think yes, but after seeing how the committee dismissed them last year, they put two teams in the play-in game from the Mountain West. And so I would be a little bit wary on that unless they're trying to make it up to them. But I would say yes, but I don't know if the committee will.
Indiana, pretty strong finish to the regular season, lost to a team that is clearly making the tournament yesterday in Oregon. Are the Hoosiers today in?
They're one of my last four teams in. So I think they're okay for now, but again, they're rooting against Texas, against Carolina, and the American Athletic Conference.
All right. Who is the team on your board, if you will, that's risen the most? I love what BYU's been doing, but have there been a team here that, maybe he's gone from a 6 to a 4, a 6 to a 3? Have there been risers here in the last week, or has it been pretty steady?
I think over the last few weeks, BYU's a team that's been on my board the least amount of time, and has gone way up to a 6 seed, and they could go further. They are just playing some outstanding basketball, and the wins they have are really phenomenal.
Folks, BYU can get their hands on money. They're going to be really good in football and basketball in the next 10 years. Money is not a problem for the Mormons. They got a base that they can get money from. It's not going to be a problem. All right. Xavier, double-digit lead at the half. They lose late to Marquette by 2. Are they in or out?
They are my last team in right now, and so they're really pulling hard for Memphis to win, and none of the others I mentioned earlier to lose. They want them to cut. Yeah, I think they're the iffiest, and so they need all the help they can get.
1 seed's determined, Shelby?
I think so. I think the SEC is going to have 2. I don't think Houston can do anything to lose their spot. Auburn and Duke are set. I think it's going to be Florida for the last 1 seed. Alabama could scoot up, but I don't think it'll happen.
And then is it Alabama and Tennessee as the 2s going up against Duke and Houston, or is Michigan State a 2 with you?
All 3 of them are.
Okay. Shelby Mast. He is the Bracket Wag. BracketWAG.com. Follow him on X at Bracket Wag. Shelby, as always, you're the best. Thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
Shelby Mast. Joining us once again here on Miller and Moulton. We played the Are They In or Are They Out game. Xavier, last team in.
Yeah, they're pulling for the 2 already in teams in the Mountain West. They need Colorado State and Boise to lose today.
And they need Memphis to win the American. But in Shelby's world, remember, both Texas and North Carolina are out.
And that is not the case with all of the bracketologists out there. I've never seen more discrepancy from these guys at the bottom. Never. By the way, the other 2s for those, the other 2 is St. John's. Alabama, Tennessee, Michigan State, and St. John's are the 2 seeds, according to Shelby. Miller and Moulton. We have other highly contested battles going on, not just bubble teams, David. Our poll questions today are tight.
They're good questions.
It's National Potato Chip Day. What's your favorite brand of all time? Right now, Lay's, with 33% of the vote, is 4 percentage points ahead of Ruffles and Cape Cod chips that are tied. Pringles bringing up the rear.
Wow.
What's your favorite flavor of potato chip? It's a dogfight. Plain getting just a little less than 28%. Sour cream and onion and salt and vinegar just getting a little more than 25%. And barbecue at around 21.5%. Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X to vote.
But these are 2 quality questions. And second time this week, we went with 2 poll questions. I mean, this is Miller and Moulton having an out-of-show experience here.
And there are poll questions in the bank for next week. We're already stockpiling poll questions, so we never get to the point when we go, what's the poll question going to be? Well, I don't know what the poll question is going to be. And we spend a half hour doing that to start the show.
Miller and Moulton. All our guests today, and we had 3 good ones, Pat Kirwan, Evan Closky, and Shelby Mast, joining us on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
You know, the one thing that Evan Closky said that I had not heard others say, and you may have, David, and so forgive me if this is something, but when he made the point that essentially the Billionaires Boys Club, the owners of the MLB franchises, think that Sternberg doesn't have enough money to be part of the club. That's an issue. That's an issue. But they are not going to let Sternberg hold up expansion. Remember,
there we go.
That's the key part of that is the quintessential part of this whole stadium discussion in Tampa. Manfred wanted to get Oakland and Tampa Bay taken care of. Oakland, at least we think, is going to Vegas with a little short stay in Sacramento. Tampa, we thought, had their deal done in St. Pete, but Sternberg walked away. And they have to get the stadium situation done before they can move on with expansion. And remember, expansion is $2 billion a franchise that goes directly into the owner's pocket.
That's $4 billion divided by 30. That's $133 million per owner and they don't share any of that with the players. There's also the other timeline going on in Major League Baseball. There's going to be a work stoppage before the 2027 season starts. So Rob Manfred's looking at the calendar. He's like, yeah, I got 18 months to negotiate everything because then we're going to have a CBA that ain't going to get done.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower is so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
This is Miller and Moulton. So, wife came to me a little while ago and is like, it may be time for new cars. I went, have you checked the price of new cars? I go, no. Whatever repairs we need, we're going to get done. And so she just went to her place. And it's a 9-year-old SUV. And we have not had to do much besides gas, oil, and tires. And the air is no longer working, and this is shot, and this is shot. And she's like, it's $2,000. I go, yeah, I can't get that SUV for less than $30,000. So I'll pay the $2,000. And I'm being given a hard time. Is $2,000 less than $30,000?
It does. It's well less.
I mean, even if it's a 2 to 3 year thing. Am I wrong?
No.
I mean, we haven't had a car payment in 7 years. Why the hell would we want a car payment?
Well, not right now.
Oh, it's a Hyundai.
I got pretty excited yesterday, David. I went to the back of the closet where I keep the skinny shorts that I could no longer wear. And they fit.
Oh!
It was
hey
really,
now!
It was really exciting.
Yeah, baby. Have that pizza on the weekend.
Not a chance. I still got 15 more to go.
Wow.
I've never heard Lebitard's interview with Ross. I listen to a little bit of Dan Lebitard's show now because it's on after Dan Patrick on the NBC channel on Sirius. And sometimes I'll have Dan Patrick on. I'll get in the car later and Lebitard's on. So I'll listen to a segment or two. And don't get me wrong. Dan Lebitard's great. He's great. But there's a little bit of an inside joke always going on in that show. And if you're not a regular listener,
right,
sometimes it's hard to figure out what the hell they're talking about. But don't get me wrong. It's a great show. He is a great personality. He was a terrific writer. I don't want anybody to think I'm disparaging the show. It's just sometimes seems as if there's always an inside joke.
Did you see, by the way, the profile of David Sampson?
Yeah, I was the one that sent it to you.
You sent it to me?
Yes, I sent it to you and John.
Gotcha. Barrett Media, by the way.
Because I get their emails. Barrett Media sends out a morning and an afternoon newsletter every day.
Okay.
So I had signed up for that, so I get them. So I kind of always peruse what they're talking about.
My mom said you look good.
Thanks, Mama Moulton. My day was made yesterday. A younger guy comes to the gym every day and works out, and he just looked at me when he walked in. He goes, "How much weight have you lost?" Because you're working hard, man. I'm like, wow. I'm like, thank you.
I still think you need to change the channel.
I just try to beat him in there. All I want's the ticker, David. I just want the damn ticker on in case something happens. Right. I don't want Fox News on loud. I don't want MSNBC on loud. I want that hour personally to be politics free. I just want to go get my workout in and be left alone.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Some final thoughts. Maybe a pick or two. I don't know. Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. Two great poll questions today because we have a great topic.
Potato chips.
There you go. Not even Miller and Moulton can screw that up. All right. In fact, because of it, two questions. One, favorite brand of chip. You know, Lay's, Ruffles. We did throw Pringles in, and I know that upsets some of you because technically it's not a chip. It is in our world. They're in the same aisle as the chips. They're a chip. And for a while there, what was your brand that you threw in?
Cape Cod. I'm a kettle chip guy. Cape Cod is doing it's holding its own, but right now Lay's getting a third of the vote, Ruffles getting 30% of the vote, Cape Cod 27% of the vote, and Pringles less than 10% of the vote.
And then we ask you what flavor of chip? Plain, sour cream and onion, barbecue, salt and vinegar.
Plain and sour cream and onion are in a dead heat with salt and vinegar just an eyelash behind. Going to be a photo finish at the end, David.
You know, the round 2 is underway at the Players. Rory's tied for the lead and Scheffler's 2 back.
Let's hope it stays that way for the weekend. That would be fantastic to see Scheffler take down Rory, as Rory will figure out a way to lose on Sunday.
Oh, man.
Prove me wrong. Win a big tournament, Rory. We've been waiting for how long for you to win a big tournament?
Well, I mean, he's won some tour championships on both tours. Okay, but he hasn't won a major. You're right. Has not won a major in 11 years. Right. If he wins the Masters, it's a career Grand Slam.
And I thought what Ron Syrek had to say on our show yesterday is the most important part when it comes to Rory. You can see it in Rory's body language. When it starts going south for Rory, he seemingly doesn't have the ability to pull it all back together and go shoot that 69 with your B game that Tiger could do, that Scheffler can do. And Rory, just when it starts going badly and the wedge game goes south, which it does for Rory, David, you know that. He has trouble recovering from that. It would be great for Rory to be right there on Sunday. Golf needs Rory. He moves the needle. But between putting woes and wedge game, I don't trust him.
He has had some tough luck recently in the majors, though. I mean, what was the major? I mean, last year, was it the PGA that DeChambeau beat him in? Okay, or was it because it wasn't the U.S. Open, was it? Okay, the major, it was the U.S. Open, DeChambeau. Okay, so won his second U.S. Open, right? But I mean, that amazing up and down that DeChambeau made.
Yep.
Okay, to lose, for Rory to lose by one, and also what was it, the tournament the year before out in California? I mean, he played great, played amazing golf, and some guy played the golf of his life, and beat him by one. I mean, so Rory's had some tough luck here in which he's played really well and has not fallen apart necessarily down the stretch and has managed to finish second. But you're right. As Ron Styrek said, he can't win with his B game in the big events. And if you're going to be an all-time great, you got to figure out how to win with your B game in your big events.
But I want Rory there on Sunday. A lot of people like Rory. I'm not the biggest Rory fan, but I want the best players there. And Rory's still one of the best players. This is a big tournament. Nothing would be better than to see Scheffler and Rory in the last group on Sunday. Absolutely. And I'd be curious. I think the fans watching would be overwhelmingly rooting for Rory.
Yeah, I think so. Which is interesting in and of itself.
Right. Not an American. Scheffler's
right.
But Rory's got a bigger personality than Scheffler.
He does. And he has been more outgoing in certainly what he has said. And he's seemingly willing to comment on everything. It is ironic that Rory and Phil are on opposite sides of so many things here in the last couple of years because, Phil could never keep his mouth shut either. I mean, there was not a question Phil wouldn't answer. Not a topic he would never. Rory actually yesterday sidestepped the topic. I'm like, wow, took you to 35 to sidestep a topic. Good for you. So.
But the players this weekend, college basketball tournaments, I don't know. I mean, the college conference tournaments, the big conference tournaments, have really lost their luster.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a Michigan State alum. I'm a diehard Spartan basketball fan. I want them to lose so badly before the final, I can't even express it to you. I don't need them playing on Sunday. I don't think it gives them the best chance to have a successful tournament. Calipari said it the other day. Don't care about the SEC tournament. I care about the NCAA tournament. People got all pissed off about it. But he's right.
I think Sparty loses today, by the way.
To Oregon?
Yeah.
Maybe.
5.5-point favorite, noon tip.
Yeah, I know.
Also, it's on Big Ten Network.
The whole tournament yesterday was on the Big Ten Network. I'm guessing most of it is today as well.
Can't get that on FS1?
Well, it's funny you bring that up, David. I was going to ask you that. I know that FS1 is in a lot more households, but because Fox owns part of the Big Ten Network, I would think the Big Ten Network was lobbying hard to get all those games.
Well, I mean, it's great programming for the Big Ten Network. I mean, the first 2 days of the SEC tournament have been exclusively SEC Network.
Right. While the ACC tournament's been on ESPN and the better basketball's been on the SEC Network.
Right. So 3:30 today, by the way, Texas, Tennessee. If you think Texas is still not in and needs one more. By the way, with all the wins Texas has gotten this week, you know how many wins they have on the year? 19. They're 19-14.
Do you think they have to win today to get in?
I do. And here's what I think is working against Texas. They're the 14th team. I mean, I've got to listen. These are human beings in the room. They are. You can try to be as objective and unbiased as possible. All right. You know, and I know you try to take the names off these teams and you do a lot of blank. You know, you've been in the room for 4 days now. You know who all these teams are. You know who all these blank cards are. And you know, Texas is the 14th bid for the SEC. I mean, don't you have to be very confident if you're, fourth team for the Mountain West or, whatever the case is, Xavier versus Texas.
North Carolina versus Texas.
I mean, you have to feel like, I believe, undoubtedly, it should be Texas. I can't believe you're bringing it up that so-and-so should make it instead of them.
The problem is if it comes down to Texas or Colorado State, Texas or Boise State, I think Texas will go. I hate it, but I think they'll go.
Yeah, I do think that the 14th bid in the SEC will win out over the 4th or 5th bid for the Mountain West. I do.
So Colorado State, Boise, both playing tonight. They're not playing one another in the Mountain West semis. If they both win, it will certainly put pressure on the committee for who the last teams are that get in. Miller and Moulton. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when and what's on tap. It's all still ahead as we finish out the week right here. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com. You have a sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit SleepTreatmentDirect.com. That's SleepTreatmentDirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I appreciate you taking your cart back, but 11 items is a sin.
Did you put 10 and then put the thing down and do 1? Or did you just, and was it 11 items? Like, do you put 3 apples in a bag? Like, to me, that's 1 item. I think Irish football, the answer is never again.
Wow, there are official rules for the fans at the players. Did you see the story that Rory took the kid's phone? The kid's a collegiate golfer and a good player.
He's, I think, from the University of Texas, and he had just won a tournament.
The tournament was at Sawgrass that leads up to the players, a 54-hole tournament. I'm reading the story right now. But there are rules on you can lose for making rude, vulgar, or inappropriate comments or gestures. Verbal or physical harassment of players, volunteers, officials, or so you can't verbally harass a player. That I'm sorry, the golfers are the softest bunch of SOBs on the planet.
They are.
Holy crap.
They are.
No, we have plastic bags in Florida, Irish. We have plastic straws. We have plastic bags. Hell, we probably, we as much plastic as you want.
Right.
We're not in Colorado, dude. We're in Florida. Do you know who our governor is?
Recycling is optional.
Recycling's optional. Recycling's a joke. Start make businesses do it. They make homeowners do it, but not businesses. It's the biggest crock of crap.
Well, also, now that we know that plastic is what it is, I mean, I don't know why we do it at all.
Right.
I mean, to be honest, they should do away with this.
JT is the biggest prima donna ever, Lucifer. That would be, I would argue with you on that one. And that joined a little late. The reason I said MSNBC is that this couple in the gym, smoking dog, whatever your name is there, cranks Fox News at full volume. I asked him to turn it down because it was bleeding over my headsets. He came in after me and turned the TV up, but I said, just keep the volume down, and he cranked it. So what I wanted to do to combat that was come in early, put on MSNBC, which I know will drive this man crazy, and crank it full volume. That's the way I operate. For the record, if you really want to know, I'm a registered Republican in Lee County, okay? I was doing it just to piss him off. I don't get my news from Fox, MSNBC, or CNN. I actually, believe it or not, do this thing called reading and do research.
I'm an independent. I've been embarrassed to be associated with either party for over 30 years.
And the only reason that I do is that Republicans don't lose in Lee County, so I want to vote in the primaries.
Right. And believe me, I almost registered Republican in Lee County for that reason, but I can't do it. I'm embarrassed by both of them.
I am too. And by the way, for the record, I love Bill Maher. Bill Maher's the only Democrat that takes down his own party. I think he's funny. I think the new rules at the end of the show are hysterical. Don't always agree with them. I very rarely agree with them.
I don't know why. Why do you want to be around people you agree with all the
Right.
time? Isn't that boring? What happened to we used to like being around people who, okay.
We are directly across the state from Mar-a-Lago, Irish football. I was actually at a party at Mar-a-Lago many, many years ago when I met our now president. My buddy lives about 2 miles from Mar-a-Lago.
Obviously a well-to-do buddy.
Very much so.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. 16 until we're done yapping. Miller and Moulton coming at you live from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters just keeping it real. Yeah.
So you ready for me to get started? Sometimes you have something. Usually I can tell when you have something and you have that look on your face like, can you get this over with?
Yeah, I'm willing to, have you take the lead and, maybe I can say something off of it.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Today was a day when, brought to you by Game Day Men's Health. Game Day Men's Health with locations in Bonita Springs and Naples. Check them out, GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Mention Miller and Moulton for 10% off. We start today in 1794. Eli Whitney patents the cotton gin. Kind of a biggie.
Isn't that up for debate? I know that's what we were all taught, but isn't there somebody that kind of got screwed out of that?
Probably. There's always the case with those things. Warren G. Harding, our president in 1923, becomes the first president to pay taxes. And perhaps the last. Today in 1958, the Record Industry of America certified its first gold record. Perry Como's single, Catch a Falling Star. Wilt sends an NBA playoff record of 53 points today when the Philadelphia Warriors beat the Syracuse Nationals 132-112. 1962, Gordie Howe scores his 500th goal in a 3-2 loss to the Rangers. John McCain was released after spending over 5 years in a North Vietnamese prisoner of war camp today in 1973. I'm sure you remember this, David. Today in 81, top-seeded DePaul bounced by St. Joe's.
That was, I believe, the 3 buzzer beaters within 5 minutes that NBC was airing the tournament at the time. And they went from finish to finish. Like Oregon State was number 2 in the country. They got beat. But yeah, DePaul losing to Jim Lynam's St. Joe's Hawks, who went all the way to the region final before losing to eventual national champion Indiana that year.
1989, De La Soul released their debut album, 3 Feet High and Rising, a whole new style of hip-hop. 1997, we go back to Gordie Howe. This time he was 68 years old and he'd signed a contract with the Syracuse Crunch of the American Hockey League. Mike Wallace retired from 60 Minutes after 37 years today in 2006. 2017, Murfield in Scotland, the world's oldest golf club, votes to admit women as members for the first time in 273 years.
Yeah, but they're not going to let that course be part of the rotation again until Trump doesn't own it anymore.
Correct. Players in 2021, Justin Thomas beats Lee Westwood by 1, winning $2.7 million.
I'll ask you right now. Justin Thomas, will he ever win a major again, yes or no?
I don't think so.
Is he even 30? I mean, I know he hasn't. I mean, he won the PGA in 2022. But, it's funny how quickly you go from, one list to the other. And do you think Justin Thomas is ever going to win another major?
He'll be 32 in April.
Okay.
Albert Einstein, Quincy Jones, Wes Unseld, and Kirby Puckett would have all celebrated birthdays today. Actor Michael Caine is 92 years old. Golfer Bob Charles is 89.
Lefty.
Billy Crystal is 77. Larry Johnson, a.k.a. Grandmama. He's 56. Ron Dane is 47. Steph Curry just turned 37. And Simone Biles, the aging gymnast, is 27 years old today.
Aging gymnast.
What did I miss, David?
Well, I do think it's every time I've heard Albert Einstein, can we just point out the irony that he's a German Jew? Okay. I mean, just, hello. But yes, he would have been, what, like 140 something years old today?
Something like that.
Yeah. No. Oh, one thing I did want to mention. So the FBI's 10 most wanted list, if you will, debuted today in 1950.
Huh.
They did it as a way to just try to generate more attention about these folks. And so that's the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list, debuted today in 1950, 75 years ago.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
For the good today, we go to Michigan, where a 54-year-old Wayne County man decided he was going to go have a few drinks. And he was at JP's trolley stop in Taylor, south of Detroit, when he saw that the Club Keno jackpot for the Jack, they call it, was nearly $700,000. And he said, I don't usually play the Jack, but I saw how high it had gotten. I decided I'd give it a shot. The man's ticket matched 9 of the winning numbers, earning him the largest jackpot in the game's history, all because he wanted to stop for a beer. $677,141. Good for you, sir. Let's see. For the bad, we'll go to Florida. And I believe the Tampa area, although I'm not familiar with this place. It's been a while since I've been anywhere near one of these. But John Elberson was at Rain, Ladies and Gents. Oh, there it is, Clearwater. And around 1:30 in the morning, he decided to get a couple of lap dances.
Okay.
In fact, from the looks of it, either 4 or 8, depending if they were 20 a pop or 40 a pop. Then when it came time to pay the $160, he said he didn't have it. Police were called, and he was arrested on the spot for criminal negligence. Finally, the ugly will stay in Florida and go to Bradenton, where police had to help a pizza delivery driver. The delivery driver arrived at the home to deliver the pie, and there was an unwanted attendant in the driveway. It was an 8-foot alligator. I don't know in all your times delivering Domino's, David, if you ever had to get past a gator to deliver the pie to the house.
Nope. I got mugged a couple times, but never a gator.
The police officer was nice enough to go around the back of the house and deliver the pizza. The woman asked the officer, how much was it? Cop said, I have no idea. I'm not the pizza man. She gave some money for the driver. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, Friday, March the 14th, 2025.
10 games in the NBA tonight. Heat are home for the Celtics.
How many are they getting? I've not looked. I'm going to guess that the Heat are getting 9.5.
Okay, I'm going off memory here from a few minutes ago. I thought I saw that it was 7.5.
You are right, 7.5.
Orlando's in Minnesota. Lakers and Nuggets tonight. I don't believe tonight's a ESPN doubleheader night, though.
No, because they've got college hoop on.
Right. So, but it's not often that a pro league gets their stuff pushed to the side because of college. So
Cavs and Grizz tonight, too. That's a pretty good game as well.
It is. LeBron's still not back for the Lakers there against Jokic and the Nuggets. 6 games in the NHL. Another big one for your team at Carolina.
Yep, my son's fired up. He's got tickets. He will be there tonight.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Is he wearing anything Wings?
He'll wear a Wings jersey.
All right.
He lives in Carolina and despises the Carolina Hurricanes.
Oh, my goodness.
Hates them with every fiber in his being.
Wow. He's right at the limit, right? He can't wear the jersey.
He's 25.
Right.
He turns 26 here in a couple of months.
Yeah. So did you tell him, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
He does have one of my old Raleigh Ice Caps jerseys that I gave him. That was the minor league team I worked for in Raleigh long before Carolina. He will wear that to Carolina games. That usually gets him a few compliments from people who remember the old school team.
It is not a game that will probably influence the standings, but Dallas is at Winnipeg.
That's a really good game.
Yeah.
It's a Western Conference
final
preview about that.
First off, here's the problem. Dallas and Colorado are going to play each other in the first round, and the winner's going to play Winnipeg. I mean, just getting out of that division's absurd. I think that's tougher than Florida, Toronto, Tampa Bay. Winnipeg.
It's right there.
Dallas, Colorado.
Yeah, no, it's right there.
So,
1 and 1A. You could argue either side of that and have a pretty strong argument.
So, anyway. All right, college hoops. It's all big conferences now, basically. You got the Mountain West going on, semis tonight, final over the weekend. You got the American going on. There are bids that can be won or lost there. But for the most part, we're at the quarters of the semis of these big conference tournaments. So, Oregon, Michigan State at noon, Ole Miss, Auburn at 1, Wisconsin, UCLA at 2:30, Texas, Tennessee at 3:30. Big Fox is going to go Big East in prime time, aren't they? I mean, I know they're doing Marquette and St. John's at 6:30. I don't know if they're showing the second game or not. But
I would imagine that they are. Wouldn't make a lot of sense to show one and not the other, if you know what I mean.
I agree.
You've already built the audience in, so it would seem like they would do both. And isn't the second game Connecticut?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on Big Fox, 9 o'clock. Creighton and Connecticut. Easy for me to say.
Fran McCaffrey, by the way, got ejected yesterday.
Yes, he did. I happened to be watching it when it happened.
He got 2 quick tees. And you wonder, and Iowa lost, and it was a 9-point game at the time that he got teed up twice. And even the color commentator was like, "Oh, coach, man, this is still a winnable game." There was like 13 plus minutes to go.
Yes.
It's like, come on, you can't do this now. This is still a winnable game. And so McCaffrey's being escorted into the locker room, and I'm thinking to myself, is this how his career is going to end?
I was stunned by it because I happened to have it on, David, and his assistants knew it was coming, if you know what I mean.
Right.
He got the first tee, and he kept going, and his assistants are trying to get him out of the way. Like they know what his temper is.
Right. They know what he's going to do.
And they know he's about to explode, and they're trying to get him out of the way, and he had nothing to do with it. And, the referees know when the assistant comes in. Get him out of the way, we'll let this go. And he fought the assistants and chirped some more and got the second tee.
Hurley got teed up yesterday, too. The great thing about Hurley is you can read his lips. So, A, you know why he got teed up. And then they stay on him, and you get the second part of it. And he didn't curse at the official and got teed up. And so he is berating the other officials, going, "Ask him what I said. Ask him what I said. That no good. Bleep, 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 bleep. Ask him."
Poll questions are still up. It's National Potato Chip Day. What brand is your favorite of all time? Right now, Lay's winning closely. And what flavor is your favorite? Plain and sour cream and onion in a dead heat. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X to vote. Have some potato chips today. It'll make you feel better.
Hey, you too now.
Not a chance.
Oh, see, you can't tell us to have the potato chips if you're not going to dip your hand in the bag.
I feel safe in saying that half of the show will have potato chips today.
Yeah, there's a really good chance of that. I think there's a really good chance before noon. Miller and Moulton. Hey, everyone, have a great weekend. We got a lot to talk about on Monday.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Is snoring bothering your spouse? Would you like to sleep in the same bed again? Do you know that snoring can affect your sleep cycle and cause lower testosterone levels? At Sleep Treatment Direct, we have easy solutions. We have a simple laser procedure that can improve snoring in 10 minutes. If you would like to get back in the same bed or are looking for a natural way to treat low testosterone, give us a call at 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Or go to sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. I feel tired, sluggish, and just not myself. I'm gaining weight, my energy is low, and I've lost my drive. Could it be low testosterone?
Absolutely. Testosterone naturally declines over time, but you don't have to accept it. Low T can affect your energy, strength, mood, and focus. But here's the good news. Testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, can help restore your vitality and get you back to feeling your best. Imagine waking up strong, sharp, and energized, ready to take on the day like you used to. At Revitalize Clinic, we specialize in physician-guided, American-made TRT designed just for you.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. Feel like yourself again. Testosterone replacement therapy, because your best years aren't behind you, they're just getting started. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton